Chapter 433. A Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. I'm very sorry about that. Normally, the branch master only sends orders, and I can't see him. However, Yi Shang can see the branch master. When Yi Shang comes, we'll talk about this, said Yin Shui. I've long heard of Master Wu Kei's fame, but I've never had the chance to meet her, a man said. Guan Yun, Supervisor Yin Shui, you should know him. This is Supervisor Ling, Lan Yuxuan introduced. The one who wanted to meet Consort Wu was Ling Jian. Supervisor Ling, I've been in the eastern Xian region for a long time, but I've only met Master Wu Kei twice, Yin Shui said with a smile. There are only a few people who can be called invincible in the 9 regions and 18 prefectures, and Master Wu Kei is the strongest among them. It's a pity that I can't meet her, Ling Jian said with a sigh. Yes. Master Wu Kei is unwilling to leave the eastern Xian region, otherwise. Lan Yuxuan didn't continue. Night Sorrow was talking to Qin Jin about the outside world. I'm now a purple follower of Tianji Tower. I don't know when I'll have the qualifications to join Tianji Tower, Qin Jin said with clenched fists. Once you reach the 4th step, you'll have the qualifications to join the Black Watch. It won't take long. When we return to Dongxian City, I'll talk to the higher-ups and enlist you in the Blood Strike Guard, Night Sorrow said to Qin Jin. Thank you, Martial Uncle 13. I'm still not used to calling you Martial Uncle, Qin Jin said while rubbing the back of his head. We were friends and brothers before we entered the Medicine Valley. So don't worry about this issue of seniority when we're not in the sect, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Then I'll call you Brother 13. Qin Jin bowed to Night Sorrow. Okay, that's it. Night Sorrow helped Qin Jin up. While they were chatting, Enforcer Dong arrived at the bamboo forest peak with a man wearing a bronze mask. Lord Yi, Tianji Tower hopes that you can return as soon as possible, the masked Tianji Tower inspector said. All right, I will return to Dongxian City tonight, Night Sorrow said to the Tianji Tower inspector. This time, there are a few big shots from the headquarters. I guess they are here to investigate your affairs. It's better to go back early. The inspector from Tianji Tower bowed to Night Sorrow and left. After the people from Tianji Tower left, Night Sorrow looked at Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. Let's bid farewell to senior brother and head to Dongxian City. The situation there is rather tense. Baidu search love go xiao say www.aichux.com. Alright. Qin Jin, do you have anything else? If not, we will depart in a bit, Yang Lei asked Qin Jin. No, we can depart at any time. Qin Jin was in high spirits. 13, I can't be an unqualified master. I plan to bring Jiang Ziming and the others to Dongxian City and let them see more. After all, our mansion is big enough. Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. All right, we have 4 flying mounts. We can teleport them to Danding City. Night Sorrow nodded. After bidding farewell to Aoi and the others, Night Sorrow brought Jiang Ziming, Xiang Ding, and Yimiao to Danding City and teleported to Dongxian City. Senior Sister Jiu, Chuyu, bring them around Dongxian City and broaden their horizons. I will go to Tianji Tower. Night Sorrow said after exiting the teleportation formation. N. Go ahead. Sikong Chuyu and Yang Lei nodded. Night Sorrow rode on his Tianyu and rose into the sky. After putting on his mask, he went straight to Tianji Tower. On the top floor of Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow saw Yin Shui, Lan Yuxuan, Ling Jian, and Guan Yun. 2nd grade void inquiry stage cultivation base. Qi essence that is over 3 zhang asterisk, 3. 33 m per zhang, long. Lan Yuxuan took a deep breath and said after seeing Night Sorrow. There is no problem with your cultivation base. Night Sorrow, can I check your bone age? This is related to the records of our Tianji Tower. Guan Yun asked. Night Sorrow looked at Guan Yun and stretched out his arm. Lan Yuxuan took a step forward and placed her hand on Night Sorrow's wrist. Then, she retreated. Bone age 19. Night sorrow, do you mind if I give it a try as well? I just want to confirm it. Ling Jian looked at Night Sorrow and asked. He could tell that Night Sorrow did not intend to let others continue to check his bone age after he retracted his arm. I'm from the eastern Xian region. I really don't care if you acknowledge me or not. You don't have the most basic trust in me, said Yishang. He felt somewhat disgusted at being interrogated like a criminal. You misunderstood. We are not suspecting you. It's just that this matter is very important. Otherwise, the three of us wouldn't have come here. Lan Yuxuan looked at Night Sorrow, who was frowning, and said. Night Sorrow, there is no distinction between our Tianji Tower. Lord Supervisor Lan just returned from Jianghai City and is very concerned about our matters here. So don't think too much. Yin Shui could tell that Night Sorrow was a little conflicted with Lan Yuxuan and the other two. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and stretched out his arm again. Ling Jian stretched out his finger to check Night Sorrow's bone age. Then, he nodded to Lan Yuxuan, Ling Jian, and Guan Yun. Chief Protector Yin Shui, his heavens rank assessment has officially ended. Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow. This is a good thing. It seems that in the past 300 years, there hasn't been a member who has completed the 5-star assessment in our Tianji Tower. Yin Shui said. If it was 3 years ago, it would be like this. But not now. 3 years ago, there was a member who completed the 5-star assessment in the southerly region. Lan Yuxuan said. There are really many talented people. Yin Shui sighed. Night Sorrow, when you completed the 4-star assessment, the headquarters issued you a Heaven's Rank mask. However, it didn't have much authority. Now that you have completed the Heaven's Rank assessment, the situation has changed. There are also some special authorities. This is the Tianji Tower's Heaven's Rank Envoy token. After you go to the headquarters to meet the Chief Tower Master, you will officially become the Tianji Tower's Heaven's Rank Envoy. Lan Yuxuan handed a golden token to Night Sorrow. Yishang also handed over his old command medallion. These are the resources you need to reach the 5th rank. There are also 300 high-grade crystals. Lan Yuxuan took out some resources from her storage ring. Thank you, Lord Supervisor. Night Sorrow bowed to Lan Yuxuan. You're welcome. In addition, you also have some authorities. For example, Tianji Tower will provide you with weapons that match your attributes and rank. Guan Yun said with a smile. I don't need that for the time being. Night Sorrow said as he touched the reincarnation spear on his back. All right then. Whenever you have any needs, just tell us. Whatever the Extreme Celestial Tower can do, we will do it for you. You know that the Extreme Celestial Tower is a sect that can be found throughout the 9 regions and 18 prefectures, but we only have a few disciples. Do you understand? Night Sorrow understands. Night Sorrow nodded. Chapter 434. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. I believe you. Yishan nodded. Yishan nodded. Our Tianji Tower's members roam the 9 regions and 18 prefectures. Which force dares to provoke us? This is because they know the consequences. This is a tradition left behind by our ancestors. As long as you enter the Tianji Tower, you will be protected with all your strength, Lan Yuxuan said. However, Night Sorrow, you have to pay attention to another point. We, Tianji Tower, are proud. If you are defeated and killed by a cultivator of the same level, you can only say that you are not as good as them. No one else will care. Yin Shui reminded Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. He was not afraid of such a challenge. Okay, you just came back from the Medicine Valley. You must be tired. Go and rest. Lan Yuxuan said. Yishang nodded and left the Celestial Terminus Tower. After returning to Qingxin Cottage, Night Sorrow stood at the gate and looked around, feeling very satisfied. At this time, the Qingxin villa looked very grand. It was not the kind of luxurious style, but rather delicate with a sense of grandeur. Night Sorrow strode into the mansion. The three mansions were connected, and the rebuilt Qingshin cottage occupied a large area. Hearing some movement on the left, Night Sorrow walked over. After arriving, Night Sorrow saw Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu arranging accommodations for Yang Lei's disciples. Not bad. This is very good. In the future, let the brothers of the Blood Strike Guard move in as well. They will be able to see the Blood Strike Guard's cultivation and fighting style, Night Sorrow said. Is Tianji Tower looking for you for something? Sikong Chuyu asked. It's nothing. After I entered the Void Inquiry stage, the Heaven Rank trial officially ended. Then, he gave me a token. Night Sorrow said. It's a good thing that the Heaven's Fate assessment has ended. I've been so busy that I forgot about it, Yang Lei said. There are too many people here, and we don't have enough servants. We need to buy another batch of maidservants. Night Sorrow turned to look at the situation in the house and said. After that, Night Sorrow and the others went to buy 6 or 7 maidservants to take care of the chores in the house. In the evening, Night Sorrow began to cultivate. He was now in a relatively special stage. If his true chi could smoothly increase by another level, then he could eat the Void Dan and increase his cultivation by another level. Another thing was that Night Sorrow's 4th bloodline talent was loosening, but Night Sorrow knew that it wouldn't be that easy to activate it. Look at the original chapter. After analyzing the process of activating the first 3 bloodline energy points, Night Sorrow knew that it would be more difficult to activate the latter bloodline energy points. Not to mention the first and second bloodline energy points, when activating the third bloodline energy point, Night Sorrow experienced twice the difficulty of activating the second bloodline energy point. Night Sorrow felt that activating the 4th bloodline energy point would require twice the amount of energy and difficulty compared to activating the 3rd bloodline energy point. However, Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. As long as he could activate it, it would be fine. The length of time wasn't a big problem. Every time Night Sorrow cultivated, he would rely on the Ice Spirit Blood Essence and Soul Crystal. In addition, he also consumed the Spiritual Liquid of Origin, which allowed him to improve in several aspects at the same time. He was very interested in the soul extinguishing / left behind by the Dark Spirit Saint. Night Sorrow wasn't a newbie. He already understood the importance of the soul. The body and the soul were the 2 most important parts of all life forms. When the soul was damaged, even if it didn't die, it would be an idiot. High-level cultivators could achieve an indestructible soul. Even if they didn't have a body, they could still survive. Through this, it could be analyzed that the soul was more important than the body. Cultivators and monsters below the 5th level didn't open up the deep sea, but the soul still existed. It was just that there wasn't an obvious way to manifest it. The soul extinguishing / was a killing move that specialized in attacking the soul. This was also the reason why the Dark Spirit Saint could perish together with his opponent even though his attributes were restrained by the Life Saintess. Night Sorrow cultivated, and so did the others. However, it was only quiet for a few days. This was because Ho Jian, Lei Bao, Lei Zheng, and Nan Liyue had all returned. Ho Jian also brought Ho Qingjie with him. Ho Qingjie had also passed the Tianji Tower's dark notice some time ago. He was officially recruited into the Tianji Tower and became a patrol. Night Sorrow introduced Qin Zhen to the others. Before we arrived at the Medicine Valley, you were able to stand on the same side as Night Sorrow. There's nothing to say. You're a true brother. Qin Zhen, you're Night Sorrow's brother, so you're our brother, Lei Bao said as he patted Qin Zhen's shoulder. Hurry up and enter the 4th level. Our team is waiting for you to join us, Ho Jian also said. Qin Zhen nodded at the others. His face was full of excitement. However, he opened his mouth to say something, but nothing came out. Qin Zhen isn't good at communicating. That's how it is. Regarding cultivation, what do you all have to talk about? Let's go and eat. Night Sorrow waved his arm and led the group to a restaurant to eat and drink. After Night Sorrow finished drinking and brought the group back to the mansion, he met Yin Shui at the door. Chief Enforcer Yin Shui, why are you here? Is something the matter? Night Sorrow asked. Yes. I didn't tell you last time. Inspector Lon and the other two want to meet our K-Lord. When I saw you last time, I forgot to mention this matter. They went to Jianghai City a few days ago to fight and help us stabilize the situation. When they came back, they brought this matter up again. However, I can't contact K-Lord. Currently, only you can contact K-Lord. Yin Shui revealed the purpose of her visit to Night Sorrow. I don't know if K-Lord will meet them, but I can pass on the message, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. Alright, then I'll go back. As for whether K-Lord will meet them or not, you can go to Tianji Tower and inform him, Yin Shui nodded to Night Sorrow. She also knew that no one could make the decision for Wu Lingfei. In addition, although Lan Yuxuan and the others were important figures in the eyes of others, they weren't much in Wu Lingfei's eyes. Cultivation determined height, and Wu Lingfei had this height. After letting Yang Lei and the others return to the mansion, Night Sorrow rode his Tianyu to the mountain peak where Wu Lingfei cultivated. Seeing Yi Shang arrive, Wu Lingfei, who had been meditating, opened her eyes and pointed at a rock not far from her. Aunt Fei, people from Tianji Tower's headquarters are here. I passed the Tianji Tower's Heaven's Fate assessment. Night Sorrow bowed to Wu Lingfei. You entered the fifth order before the age of 20, so it's natural for you to pass the Heaven's Fate assessment. However, you shouldn't go to Tianji Tower's headquarters for the time being. Eastern Profound Region is in troubled times, and it's also a good tempering for you, Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow understands. Also, Chief Law Protector Yin Shui just came to find me. She said that the 3 supervisors want to meet you, Aunt Fei, Night Sorrow said. Irritating, but it's not appropriate to not meet them. All right. Aunt Fei will return later. How have you been recently? The main thing is to find ways to increase your spiritual strength. As for your qi cultivation, it will slowly increase, Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow then talked about how he could cultivate spiritual strength. He hoped that this method could be used as a reference for Wu Lingfei. Chapter 435. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. I understand. Alright, let's go back together. Wu Lingfei stood up and put on her golden mask. With a wave of her hand, she pulled Night Sorrow to her side and flew towards Tianji Tower. Moments later, the two of them arrived at Tianji Tower. Alright, you can go back now. If there's anything, we'll go to the same old place to find Auntie Fei. Alright, then I'll head back first. Night Sorrow nodded to Wu Lingfei and drove Tianyu away from Tianji Tower, flying towards the mansion. However, he was extremely shocked. The time it took for Wu Lingfei to bring him from the mountain peak to Tianji Tower was less than half the time it took for Lei Hua to fly. What did this mean? This meant that Wu Lingfei was much stronger than Lei Hua. At the very least, she was twice as fast as Lei Hua. After returning to the mansion, Night Sorrow saw that Qin Zhen was in the middle of cultivating his strength. Ho Jian and the others were giving Qin Zhen some advice. After chatting with the group for a while, Night Sorrow went to cultivate. He wanted to improve his soul force as soon as possible. He wanted his soul force to reach the liquid state as soon as possible. Night Sorrow also knew that it wasn't that easy. Many cultivators who had entered the Venerable Realm couldn't reach this level. However, Night Sorrow was not discouraged because of this. He had the cultivation method and soul crystals, so there was no way he could not cultivate. After practicing the basics for a night, Night Sorrow went to the martial arts practice field to practice his spear arts. He had now cultivated the 7-star Brilliant Moon Spear to the point where he could combine 5 spears into one. The 5 spear lights were very confusing, and the attack power was also much stronger than before. This was the effect brought about by the increase in his cultivation. Then, Night Sorrow went to watch Qin Zhen cultivate. Qin Zhen was very hard-working in his cultivation. His current energy exertion technique was somewhat similar to Ho Jian's, both of which focused on deflecting and rebounding force. Night Sorrow went to see Yang Lei, who was giving pointers to her disciples, and then went to the city lord's mansion. Night Sorrow asked around in the city lord's residence, but he could not find the blood-clad guard's fifth squad. No matter who he asked, no one knew. This made Night Sorrow feel very conflicted. He actually couldn't find his subordinates. Unable to get any answers, Night Sorrow felt quite helpless. He could only tell the manager of the city lord's residence that he wanted to meet with the higher-ups and return to his residence. After some thought and asking Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu for their opinions, Night Sorrow came to a conclusion. Even in the city lord's mansion, only a limited number of people could come into contact with the Bloodstrike guards. That night, someone came to Night Sorrow's residence. It was an old man in green robes. Ning Qingfeng led the old man directly to the backyard, where he saw Night Sorrow, who was cultivating his spear techniques. "I am the city lord's mansion's guardian elder, Kuan Nan. Today, I heard from the manager that you had some matters to attend to," Kuan Nan said. "Greetings, Elder Kuan. It's like this. I am the captain of the blood-clad guard's fifth squad, but I can't find them," Night Sorrow said. "It's like this. In the city lord's mansion, the blood-clad guard is a secret force that not many people know about. They usually cultivate in the base. Only a few elders know about this," Kuan Nan said. "So that's how it is." Then Night Sorrow understands. "Originally, I bought 2 mansions and built a practice field to make it more convenient for everyone. It seems that there is no need for that," Night Sorrow said as he looked at his residence. "It's good that you have such a plan. I will bring them over later," Kuan Nan said. "Thank you, Elder Kuan." Night Sorrow bowed to Kuan Nan. "There's no need to be polite. I know that you led the 5th squad into battle some time ago. You did very well. In the future, the 5th squad will be stationed here. This will be their second base." Kuan Nan sized up Yishang's residence and said, "That's not a problem. That's what I planned to do when I bought this residence. Brothers can live together and become familiar with each other. In the future, our cooperation will be better," Night Sorrow said. "All right. I went out today to attend to some other matters. I am usually in the city lord's mansion, in the east building. If you need anything, you can find me." Kuan Nan nodded to Night Sorrow and left Night Sorrow's residence. 13. We didn't consider it enough in the past. Now that I think about it, the 5th squad of the Bloodstrike Guard is definitely the trump card of the city lord's mansion, Yang Lei said. "I used to know that they were elites, but I didn't expect them to be of such high standards," Night Sorrow said. In fact, among the 30 brothers of the Bloodstrike Guard, the oldest is only in his 40s. To be able to cultivate to the peak of the severed spirit stage at this age, and some of them have even reached the 5th level, they are all outstanding cultivators, Sikong Chuyu said. Yang Lei, Ho Jian, and the others nodded. This group of young people with high average strength and potential was very difficult to integrate into a team. After all, there were very few people. The next morning, Kuan Nan sent the 30 Bloodstrike guards to Night Sorrow's residence. He then left after informing the members of the Bloodstrike Guard. "Greetings, Captain." Xue Ling led the group of Bloodstrike guards and bowed to Night Sorrow. "Don't stand on ceremony, everyone. It's like this. I feel that if we are going to fight side by side in the future, we will need to communicate more. That's why I bought 2 mansions. Xue Ling, you can arrange for everyone to stay in. There is also a training ground here," Night Sorrow said. "I understand. Thank you for your concern, Captain." Xue Ling nodded. "All right, don't stand on ceremony. You know these people. These 2 are also my good brothers. We will fight side by side in the future, so let's get to know each other." Night Sorrow introduced Ho Qingjie and Qin Zhen to the rest of the Bloodstrike Guard. After the arrangements were made, Night Sorrow went to find Uncle Feng and asked him to pay more attention to the food in the residence. With nothing to do, Night Sorrow went to Tianji Tower. On the top floor of the Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow met Yin Shui and Lan Yuxuan. Most are new chapter, Section S Supra, Night Sorrow is here. Sit down and have some tea. Lan Yuxuan was not wearing her mask. She looked to be in her mid-30s, but her aura was very strong. Night Sorrow nodded and sat opposite the two. Night Sorrow, thank you. It was because of your help that we were able to meet Master Wu Quebec. Lan Yuxuan poured a cup of tea for Night Sorrow. It's nothing. I'm just passing on the supervisor's message. By the way, what's the situation with the Nebula sect? Night Sorrow asked. The situation is still very serious, but we are able to stabilize it. The only thing is that we are not sure how many venerable dark spiritual corpses there are. The battle is going on every day. Tianji Tower and the governor's mansion did not lose much strength, but the Nebula sect has suffered a great loss. Yin Shui said. Then I will go back and discuss it. If there is no problem, I will go with my brothers later. Night Sorrow said. Chapter 436. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Don't we have many sovereigns there? Can't we just kill them when they come out to ambush us? Night Sorrow asked with a frown. Love go little say Neku, we can't. At most, we can injure them severely. The dark spiritual corpses have a unique escape technique. If they are in danger, they will run back to the spatial tunnel. With that disgusting spatial tunnel as their shield, we can't kill them. Besides, they have enough death energy to replenish themselves, so they can quickly recover and continue to fight us. Yin Shui said with some annoyance. Can't we do this? When they come out to ambush us, we will send our top sovereigns to block the entrance of the spatial tunnel to prevent them from running back. Then, the rest of us will work together to kill them. Night Sorrow said. We can try this method. Send a sovereign to exhaust them first. Don't pressure them too much and don't let them feel danger. Then, send a strong sovereign to block the entrance of the spatial tunnel. This way, everyone can surround and kill them. Yin Shui nodded. Then let's wait for a while and communicate with the sovereigns at the City Lord Mansion. Then, we can carry out this plan. Lan Yuxuan said. Okay, I will communicate with the City Lord Mansion later. Even if we can't completely solve the problem, we can still suppress their arrogance. Yin Shui said. Okay, I will go back first and see how to deal with this problem. Night Sorrow stood up and said. After Night Sorrow left, Lan Yuxuan and Yin Shui continued their discussion. We are all thinking about how to kill them, but we didn't think about how to cut off the dark spiritual corpse's escape route. We are really stupid. Yin Shui laughed at herself. He is young and his vision is different from us. This guy has a strong killing intent. This crisis is also a chance for him to train. Anyway, this crisis is nothing. If Master Wu Kei makes a move, then the trouble can be solved at any time. Master Wu Kei's strength is unfathomable. I can't see through her. Lan Yuxuan said with some emotion. If Master Wu Kei wasn't strong, Eastern Xian region wouldn't be so peaceful. Yin Shui said with a smile. That's right. There are frequent domain wars in the other domains, but none of the domain forces have come to the Eastern Xian domain to provoke us, Lan Yuxuan said. Last year, the Jiyu family from the Qingtian territory came to provoke us, but they ran away before we could do anything about it. Yin Shui recalled that the Jiyu family had burned down Bamboo Garden Village in the Medicine Valley. Jiyu's family has been developing very quickly in recent years. They are a little complacent and a little arrogant. They are lucky that they didn't provoke Fire Dance Tower Master this time, Lan Yuxuan said. They didn't offend Mistress Wu Kei, but they offended Night Sorrow. This matter won't end so easily. Yin Shui shook his head. He knew Night Sorrow quite well, and knew that the incident of Jiyu family cutting off one of Mr. Gu's arms wouldn't end so easily. Currently, Night Sorrow was just not powerful enough. What happened? Lan Yuxuan asked. Then, Yin Shui told her about Sikong Chuyu, Night Sorrow, and Bamboo Garden Town. They actually attacked ordinary people. This matter is too serious. No matter who it is, no one will stop. Ji Yu's family is looking for trouble, Lan Yuxuan said with a sigh. After Night Sorrow returned to his mansion, he went to a secret room and began to cultivate. However, he kept thinking about whether he should continue to participate in the domain wars. Night Sorrow could ask for the opinions of Hou Jian, Nan Liyue, and the Lei brothers. He could decide whether or not to participate in the domain wars. However, the Blood Strike guards couldn't. They were the guards of the city lord's mansion. If they wanted to fight, they had to get the city lord's mansion's order. Love go little say W. Chu this time, Night Sorrow cultivated for 3 days. He only woke up from his cultivation state after turning the ice spirit blood essence and soul crystals in his hands into useless rocks. Then, while chatting with Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu, the two women gave Night Sorrow some advice. If it wasn't necessary, he should let Hou Jian and the others cultivate first. After all, everyone's cultivation was advancing by leaps and bounds. After thinking about it, Night Sorrow felt that the two women were right. He couldn't drag others into the domain wars just because he wanted to. Hou Jian and Nan Liyue hadn't been in the domain wars for long. Their strength was increasing rapidly. Lei Bao and Lei Zheng were trying to break through to the domain wars of the domain wars. They had just eaten the tranquility pill. Ho Qingjie was slower than them, but he had also reached the domain wars of the domain wars. Qin Zhen, who had the lowest cultivation, was improving the fastest. During Yu Yangyu's venerable celebration ceremony, he was at the domain wars of the domain wars. Now, he had reached the domain wars of the domain wars and could enter the domain wars of the domain wars at any time. If Night Sorrow didn't exist, Qin Zhen might be the most outstanding young disciple in the Medicine Valley. What made Night Sorrow gratified was that Hou Jian, Nan Liyue, and the others were very enthusiastic about Qin Zhen. They didn't reject him because of the difference in cultivation level. They were even willing to feed Qin Zhen moves and help Qin Zhen improve his strength. Seeing that everyone else was cultivating, Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea. Original Carat G, Hertz, and I5 He All V is the pirate edition. This was the first time Night Sorrow had brewed tea for others while they cultivated. Night Sorrow, your qi and blood are getting more and more abundant. The smoke of essence qi has already reached more than 6 zhang *3, 33 m per zhang. It won't be a problem for you to reach the level where the smoke will soar into the clouds. Sikong Chuyu said. Your cultivation levels are improving very quickly as well. After stabilizing your cultivation levels, it won't be a problem for you to advance to the domain wars of the domain wars. Once you reach the mid-void inquiry stage, your combat power will be improved. Night Sorrow said. The world is chaotic. Wars may break out at any time. Only with strength will you have confidence. Yang Lei said. Yes. Only with strength will you have confidence. However, it's a little difficult to improve your cultivation level after reaching the void inquiry stage. After all, the energy needed to advance is too great. Night Sorrow said. After cultivating in Pill Cauldron Cliff for nearly a month, Night Sorrow only managed to increase his cultivation level by 1 level. This made him understand how difficult it was to improve his cultivation level after reaching the void inquiry stage. You should know that other than the bottleneck, there are also some void inquiry stage cultivators who are stuck at the first level for 10 years or even dozens of years due to a lack of resources. There are many such cases in our Medicine Valley. People like us who don't need to consider the problem of resources and can improve our cultivation levels quickly as long as we cultivate are something that others wouldn't even dare to dream of. Yang Lei said. Night Sorrow smiled. He knew that the lack of cultivation resources was the problem that all cultivators faced. It was indeed very rare for someone like him who did not need to worry about resources. This was also the reason why all cultivators wanted to join a large sect and squeeze into Tianji Tower. It was because they needed resources. After that, Night Sorrow took out the resources that Tianji Tower gave him and had a look. They were the Clear Void Pill and the Great Void Pill. However, the quality of the pills was the same as the ones that Night Sorrow concocted. There was no difference between supreme grade and mid-grade. This was related to the level of a pill refinement master. Pill refinement masters could concoct supreme-grade pills that did not have much pill poison when they concocted low-grade pills. However, it was very difficult for pill refinement masters to concoct supreme-grade pills like the Clear Void pill and the Great Void pill because the requirements were very strict. Chapter 437. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Then I'll go get it when I have time. We don't lack 5th-rank resources, but we still need the people around us. The most important thing is that they give us high-grade spirit stones. Night Sorrow said with a smile. We don't have high expectations for this. Rank determines the treatment. Night Sorrow, do you know the concept of a celestial oracle? Sikong Chuyu looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I don't know. I don't know what kind of position it is. Night Sorrow shook his head. He still didn't understand the internal situation of Tianji Tower. There are only a few celestial oracles in Tianji Tower. They have a lot of power. It can be said that except for the Tower Master, Deputy Tower Master, Chief Supervisor, Chief Protector, and the Tower Masters in other regions, everyone else is a subordinate. The celestial oracles are the representatives of the Tower Master and Deputy Tower Master. Sikong Chuyu said. Night Sorrow was stunned. This concept was a bit general, but he understood the general meaning. Except for a limited number of people in power, everyone else was a subordinate. But I don't think they take me seriously. Night Sorrow said with a smile. You have the treatment of a celestial oracle now, but you don't have the power because you haven't officially taken up the position. Sikong Chuyu said. Night Sorrow nodded. He didn't care about this. He wasn't a fan of power and didn't have any desire for power. Otherwise, he wouldn't have refused to take up the position of young master of Medicine Valley. One must know that Medicine Valley was now one of the 7 superpowers in Eastern Profound Domain. After chatting with the 2 girls for a while, Night Sorrow planned to go out and see Kuan Nan. He wanted to see what was going on in Broken Cloud Mountain. Night Sorrow stopped when he reached the street. He felt that he was being watched. This was his intuition. When Yishang stopped, a familiar person appeared not far in front of him. Night Sorrow was stunned when he saw this person. He didn't expect to meet such a familiar person here. It was the blacksmith uncle who gave him the sky-piercing spear. Why, are you surprised? Let's find a place to treat this uncle to a drink. A sloppy-looking blacksmith with a pair of tattered leather shoes said. All right. If Night Sorrow still didn't know that this blacksmith wasn't simple, then he would be a fool. Finding a restaurant, Night Sorrow asked for a private room. He took out a jar of green carrot leopard bone wine and poured a bowl for the blacksmith. I know you have a lot of questions, but I can't tell you too much. It's already against the rules to look for you today, the blacksmith said after taking a sip of wine. Night Sorrow nodded. All right, uncle, please speak. This junior will listen. Someone wants to kill you. The news came from the Qingtian region. The Assassin Hall of the Eastern Xian region has rejected this mission. However, there will still be people who will carry out this mission. So, you have to be careful. The blacksmith drank another bowl of wine and said. Thank you for your advice, senior. Night Sorrow stood up and bowed to the blacksmith. It's nothing. I just don't want to see anything happen to you. It's fine as long as you know. The blacksmith stood up and glanced at Night Sorrow. Then, he stood up and left the restaurant. When he left, he even held the jar of wine in his hand. Night Sorrow took out another jar of wine and poured half a bowl for himself. He thought as he tasted the wine. At this moment, he understood that this blacksmith uncle was most likely a member of the Assassin Hall, one of the top forces in the Eastern Xian city. Night Sorrow couldn't understand why someone from another region would give him a mission to kill him. He hadn't even left the Eastern Xian region. If he had a grudge, it would be with the Sikong family and Jiyu family of the Qingtian region. However, if he had a grudge with them, he would be the one taking revenge. Why would they want to kill him? After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that he should wait for the opinions of Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. Perhaps he could come up with some other ideas. After leaving the restaurant, Night Sorrow went to the city lord's mansion and met with Elder Kuan Nan. Night Sorrow asked about the situation at the Broken Cloud Mountain of the Star Cloud sect. I heard that they were blocking the entrance of the spatial tunnel. They caught a dark spirit corpse and killed it. However, after one of the dark spirit corpses was killed, they became smarter. They didn't give us a chance to surround and kill them. They fought with us at the entrance of the spatial tunnel. If they couldn't win, they would retreat. Kuan Nan said. These bastards are quite smart. Night Sorrow was a little dissatisfied that they only killed one dark spirit corpse. YJT-74 version 1-inch. Their intelligence is indeed high. However, they can't do anything for now. Our people have killed most of the dark spirit corpses. Only a small portion of them are roaming around the area. Kuan Nan said. Then it's not a big problem. Night Sorrow felt a little more at ease. No, the problem now is big. Previously, when Elder Dai Tianxiang and Elder Lei blocked the entrance of the spatial tunnel and were about to kill a dark spirit corpse, a large hand reached out from the spatial tunnel and forced Elder Lei and Elder Dai to retreat. Although it was unexpected, we can still guess that there was a strong person inside the spatial tunnel. Kuan Nan said. How could that be? Night Sorrow's body trembled. Attacking through the spatial tunnel was a heaven-defying method. After analyzing it, we found that the fellow was strong. However, it was still far from our city lord's level. That spatial tunnel didn't reject the death energy, so it didn't affect its attack. It was completely different from the city lord's ability to catch a half-step venerable from the spatial tunnel. Kuan Nan said. That's good. Do you need me to lead the Blood Strike Guard into battle? Night Sorrow asked, breathing a sigh of relief. The Blood Strike Guard Squad 5 that you lead is currently at a stage where its potential is rising. Using actual combat to train is the best way to cultivate. You can make the decision yourself. This is the City Lord's will. The resources of the Blood Strike Guard Squad 5 are provided by the City Lord's mansion, but the City Lord's mansion won't participate in other aspects. You can make the decision on your own. Night Sorrow nodded. I understand. I'll ask the Blood Strike Guard brothers for their opinions. Don't worry about that. The Blood Strike Guard Squad 5 has expressed their willingness to follow you. They will follow your decision. Kuan Nan nodded. Night Sorrow then left the City Lord's mansion. The brothers of the Blood Strike Guard Squad 5 were willing to follow him. Night Sorrow didn't say anything. He was very touched. This was the trust of brothers. When he returned to the mansion, Yishang saw the Blood Strike Guard sparring and cultivating their battle skills. Yang Lei was also training with her disciples. Night Sorrow waved at Yang Lei. Yang Lei informed Jiang Ziming and went to Night Sorrow's side. Sikong Chuyu had also brewed a pot of tea. What's wrong? Did something happen? Yang Lei asked. Things are a little troublesome. Someone from the assassination hall has placed a bounty on me. Night Sorrow explained the details to Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. There's no one else besides the Jiyu family. It seems like they have infiltrated the eastern Xian region. However, they don't have much power. They can only obtain information, but they can't do anything about it. That's why they asked the assassination hall to take action. Sikong Chuyu's face was filled with anger. She knew that this was the trouble she had brought to Night Sorrow. Don't worry. I'm already prepared. They won't succeed so easily, Night Sorrow said. Chapter 438. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? Here's a wonderful novel for you to read. Night Sorrow then went to the City Lord's manor and told Kuan Nan about the matter. Love go little say W. Chu, how audacious. You're a law enforcer of the City Lord's manor. They actually dared to put a bounty on you. You don't have to worry about this. I'll deal with it. Kuan Nan was furious when he heard Night Sorrow's words. Elder Kuan, it's nothing. You're just helping me investigate. If anyone from the Qingtian region comes, just let me know. If they dare to come, I won't kill them, but I'll definitely kill them, said Yishan. I know. Kuan Nan nodded at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow left the city lord's manor and returned to his own residence. Kuan Nan thought for a moment, then left the city lord's manor and went to the mountain where Wu Lingfei was cultivating. What's wrong? Broken Cloud Mountain can't hold on anymore? Wu Lingfei opened her eyes and looked at Kuan Nan. It's not about Broken Cloud Mountain. It's about Night Sorrow. Kuan Nan bowed. Night Sorrow? What happened to Night Sorrow? Wu Lingfei stood up. It's the Hall of Assassins. They accepted the mission to kill Night Sorrow. The Hall of Assassins in the eastern Xian region refused to carry out the mission, but there are still people who can carry out the mission. Kuan Nan told her the purpose of his visit. How audacious. Wu Lingfei's body flashed and she left the mountain. Seeing Wu Lingfei's figure disappear, Kuan Nan hurriedly flew toward Dongxian City. Soon, Wu Lingfei stood in front of the Hall of Assassins pavilion. With a wave of her hand, she shattered the lintel of the Hall of Assassins along with the main door. No need to hide. Get out here. Wu Lingfei roared after shattering the lintel of the Hall of Assassins pavilion. Following Wu Lingfei's words, a few people dressed in different clothes appeared. The one in the lead was a merchant. Greetings, Lord Quebec, the old merchant bowed to the golden-masked Wu Lingfei. The Hall of Assassins can now accept missions to kill the core members of the Eastern Xian region's Tianji Tower? Wu Lingfei asked coldly. Lord K, please calm down. I will go and investigate the situation. The old merchant's eyes were filled with shock. Wu Lingfei's aura, he couldn't circulate the energy in his body. I'll tell you now. If this mission continues, I'll go to the 9 regions and 18 prefectures and wipe out all the members of your assassination hall. Don't doubt my ability. You can't make the decision, so just send my words back to the headquarters. Tell your hall master that this is my will. I used to be called the Golden Phoenix. Wu Lingfei waved her arm again and the top floor of the assassination hall was blown away. I will pass the message to the headquarters. The fat merchant, who was the person in charge of the Hall of Assassins, bowed again. Also, bring the information of the next Hall of Assassins to Tianji Tower. Don't talk to me about the rules of the Hall of Assassins. In my eyes, my fists are the rules. Wu Lingfei's voice wasn't loud, but it was absolutely domineering. At this time, Kuan Nan arrived, followed by a group of black iron guards. Lord. Kuan Nan bowed to Wu Lingfei. Clean up. After saying these 2 words, Wu Lingfei's body flashed and left the Hall of Assassins. Elder Protector. The fat merchant wiped the sweat from his forehead. Elder Mu, you didn't do the right thing this time. Kuan Nan said. Elder Protector, this way please. Mu Sha said. The Hall of Assassins was very strong, but that was only relative. They were inferior to the city lord's mansion and Tianji Tower. Mu Sha led Kuan Nan across the dilapidated building to the backyard of the Hall of Assassins. Elder Protector, what's going on? Mu Sha said with some hesitation. Your Hall of Assassins has a mission to hunt down Night Sorrow, right? You should have investigated. With his excellent qualifications, do you think his position in Tianji Tower is low? He's definitely a core member. Also, to tell you the truth, he's also a guard of the city lord's mansion. Kuan Nan sat down and said. We were really foolish this time. Elder Kuan, you know that we can investigate some information, but we don't interfere with the Tianji Tower and the city lord's mansion, so there are some things that we don't know. I found out that he contributed a lot to the eastern Xian region on the Island of Darkness, so I refused to carry out the mission. Mu Sha said. It's because you refused the mission that you are safe. Now you can only do as the Lord says. Pass the message to the headquarters, I believe they will make a decision. Kuan Nan said to Mu Sha. His attitude was very good. It wasn't the first time he met Musha, and they had some friendship. Okay, I almost got into big trouble. Musha, know about Lord Golden Phoenix. I didn't expect to see Lord Golden Phoenix under such circumstances. Musha said with a bitter smile. Kuan Nan then left the Hall of Assassins. He knew that as long as Wu Ling concubine's name reached the Hall of Assassins, this matter would come to an end. You bastards, come over here. Musha shouted at the blacksmith, Sister Luo, and another man who were standing at the side. GL starter, no need to ask. I'm the one who informed Night Sorrow. We know about his growth, and he has done nothing wrong. Besides, he often treats me to drinks, so I don't want to see him get killed. The blacksmith kicked off his beast-skin shoes and walked a few steps away. Then you know about the situation. Why didn't you say anything? We can communicate with the headquarters and ask them to give up the mission. There's nothing wrong with that. If Lord Golden Phoenix is angry, the consequences will be uncontrollable. Musha glared at the blacksmith and said. Why are you glaring at me? I'm just a blacksmith. I can do whatever I want. Tell the higher-ups to punish me? Do assassins have no principles? The blacksmith looked at Musha and said. Bastard, luckily you're the one who informed us. Otherwise, if something happened, we wouldn't be able to escape. Lord Golden Phoenix. She's a big shot who has killed countless venerables. We're just ants in front of her. Musha said with some emotion. Is she very famous? The other middle-aged man asked. She's very strong. You can say that she's the pride of the Eastern Xian region. Although I'm not from the Eastern Xian region, I still admire her. Even the top members of our assassin hall have been defeated by her. Many years ago, she also defeated the high-level venerables of the other regions in the domain war and established herself as an invincible venerable. She also protected the peace of the Eastern Xian region, said Musha. According to what you said, she's not just talking about going to the 9 regions and 18 states to destroy our Hall of Assassins. Sister Luo said with some surprise. Isn't that nonsense? She doesn't have the confidence to destroy our reputation. We'll know when the news comes. The headquarters will definitely give in. Musha said with a bitter smile. Chapter 439. A genius remembers love in 1 second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. That's right. We've really gone too far this time. Some people are taboo. Our assassination hall doesn't have the upper hand when it comes to individual battle prowess. We're even worse off when it comes to the power behind us. Musha opened his mouth and said. That's right, Musha said. They even accepted the mission to kill a child. I wonder which brainless person decided to accept the mission. The blacksmith snorted coldly because he was very dissatisfied. Blacksmith, I still don't understand. What does that little guy have to do with you? Musha was a little puzzled. How did Blacksmith get involved in this matter? We've seen him twice. We've been looking for materials to forge the sky-piercing spear for many years, and the blacksmith only gave him 12 spears. Sir, do you think the blacksmith likes him? Sister Luo glanced at the blacksmith and asked. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs.com. Blacksmith, I won't argue with you this time. But if something like this happens again in the future, I'll definitely teach you a lesson. Isn't it better to discuss things with everyone? The problem has to be solved from the root. Can you solve the problem by leaking information? Find someone to fix this place, you bastard. Musha glared at the blacksmith again, then left in a flash. He planned to personally report this matter to the headquarters. That damn fatty, at least he's done something this time, the blacksmith said as he looked in the direction that Musha had left. Big brother, the one with the bounty on his head is the child you sent the sky-piercing spear to? Another middle-aged man asked. Love go little say ku, big brother, I didn't make a mistake. Back then, he was just a little fellow who had just entered the Second Order. What about now? Second grade void inquiry stage. Haha. The blacksmith's face was filled with pride. Second grade of the void inquiry stage. I remember it was only 2 years ago when we first met him, right? Sister Luo's eyes were filled with shock. That's right. He's definitely a good seedling for our Eastern Xian region. So, even if we have to violate the rules, we can't let people from other regions kill him. The blacksmith nodded. All right. At that time, I was dissatisfied with Big Brother giving away the sky-piercing spear. However, after killing the evil flood dragon, the sky-piercing spear was no longer important to us. The middle-aged man looked at the blacksmith and said, Yes, each of us only needs 2 sky-piercing spears to protect ourselves. Why do we need so many? Come, there's still a jar of good wine here. Let's drink it, and then find someone to repair this place. I have to say, the master of Tianji Tower is really awesome. The blacksmith took out a jar of Qing Luo leopard bone wine given to him by Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, who was practicing his spear arts in the mansion, suddenly stopped. This was because he saw Wu Lingfei, who was wearing a golden mask, a tight skirt, and a gauze robe. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs.com Auntie Fei, why are you here? Night Sorrow greeted her. Bring me in. Wu Lingfei raised her chin and pointed at Night Sorrow's loft. Night Sorrow brought Wu Lingfei into the study room that he rarely entered. Then, he took out a tea set and brewed a pot of tea for Wu Lingfei. Your mansion is not bad. The scenery and style are all okay, Wu Lingfei said after taking off her mask and taking a sip of tea. There are extra lofts here. Auntie Fei can live and cultivate here, Night Sorrow said. Thinking about it, Auntie Fei is really not as good as you. Because in Dongxian City, I can only go to the Tianji Tower and the City Lord's mansion. I don't have a place to stay. Wu Lingfei suddenly sighed. Auntie Fei, actually, a home is only a place where there are relatives. A home is not an empty house. I will tidy up the innermost and quiet loft for you in a moment, Yishang said. After the 3 mansions were connected, the craftsman built a viewing tower in the innermost part of the mansion on the left, which was a little far from Night Sorrow's. The loft was shrouded in green bamboo, and the scenery and style were not bad. Okay, but Auntie Fei likes to be quiet. Don't let others near that place. Also, when Auntie Fei cultivates, sometimes it will cause the laws to vibrate and hurt people. Wu Lingfei nodded after thinking for a while. Then I will take Auntie Fei there. Night Sorrow stood up and said. Night Sorrow took Wu Lingfei to the viewing tower and helped her settle down. There's one more thing. Your girlfriend's water attribute isn't normal. She has the sky blue water and the black profound water. She has the sky blue water attribute. This kind of extreme water attribute is very rare. It can even be said that it won't be suppressed by 4 high-level attributes. She might not have noticed it yet. Wu Lingfei said. She was referring to Sikong Chuyu. Auntie Fei, you know that I don't know much about these things. When I have time, I will ask Chuyu to come and ask Auntie Fei for advice. Night Sorrow said, a little embarrassed. Indeed, telling you this is a waste of time. Let her come over at night. Auntie Fei will tell her that this kind of potential is very rare and cannot be buried. Wu Lingfei said with a smile. She suddenly felt that she had treated Night Sorrow as a cultivator for many years. In fact, Night Sorrow was just a child. It could be said that he was a cultivation newbie. Why did Auntie Fei come to Dongxian City? Is there any progress in breaking through? Night Sorrow asked. 0 positive. Version B** release, almost there, but there is no rush. Who knows, maybe a flash of inspiration will be enough. Why did you come? You have a bounty on your head. How can Auntie Fei not come and take a look? Wu Lingfei said. They won't send a venerable to kill me. Other ranks, even late 5th order, I still have a chance to escape. Night Sorrow said. Auntie Fei has already dealt with this matter. The Eastern Xian region branch of the Assassination Hall will report to the higher-ups and resolve this matter. However, there is a time difference. In other words, by the time they report, the assassins might have already been dispatched. Wu Lingfei said. In fact, this was the main reason why she had stayed in Night Sorrow's residence. I've made Auntie Fei worry again. Night Sorrow said with a smile. It's fine. You go do your thing. Just let your girlfriend come and find Auntie Fei. Wu Lingfei nodded at Night Sorrow. When Night Sorrow arrived at Sikong Chuyu's pavilion, he saw Sikong Chuyu and Yang Lei sitting together, studying something. The two women didn't notice Night Sorrow's arrival and continued to read. Night Sorrow walked over and saw what the two women were reading. It was the harmony cultivation technique he had obtained while completing a mission. Back then, Night Sorrow had obtained the harmony cultivation technique after killing two women who plucked Yin to supplement Yang. At that time, he had given it to Yang Lei. You're reading this too? Night Sorrow asked after sitting down. Ah. Why did you sneak in here? Yang Lei embarrassedly put the ancient book into her storage ring. I swaggered in. You two were too engrossed and didn't see me. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Night Sorrow, don't think too much. This ancient book is good for the three of us. Back then, those two women walked the crooked path. Yang Lei explained with a red face. Chapter 440. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with interesting novels to read. After asking Sikong Chuyu to meet Wu Lingfei, Night Sorrow informed everyone in the mansion that the small bamboo forest and the viewing tower at the northwest corner of the mansion were forbidden from entering. Even though everyone did not understand why Night Sorrow would give such a notice, they knew that there was a reason behind it. After informing everyone, Night Sorrow returned to his secret cultivation room. He took out the ice spirit blood essence and soul crystals and began to cultivate. In the next few days, Yi Shan steadily increased his cultivation. He didn't know that a great storm had occurred in Dongxian City. No one had ever dared to provoke the Deathly Hall, but now, someone had destroyed their facade. This was a strange story. Soon after, a few foolish cultivators who did not know what was going on went to the entrance of the Assassination Hall and pointed at them. In the end, they ended up in a miserable state. They were directly crippled and hung in front of the pavilion that was being renovated. This also let all the cultivators know that no matter what the Assassination Hall had experienced, they still could not be provoked casually. Night Sorrow's cultivation base increased at a relatively slow pace even though he used the spiritual origin liquid. It was because the amount of energy needed to advance to the void inquiry stage was really too much. On this day, after finishing dinner and everyone went to cultivate, Night Sorrow went to the small training ground in front of the main building to practice his spear techniques. After cultivating for a while, just as Night Sorrow was about to go to the secret cultivation room to cultivate his foundation, he felt a chill on his body. He had a feeling that he was being stared at by a poisonous snake. Turning his head to look, Night Sorrow saw a masked man in the shadow of the garden. At this moment, the masked man who knew that Night Sorrow had discovered him walked out from the shadow. Without saying anything, he shook his arm and brandished his sword, sending out a ray of sword light towards Night Sorrow. Looking at the 4-chi-long sword light flying towards him, Night Sorrow took a step diagonally and dashed forward. He shook his reincarnation spear and executed the 7 stars dazzling moon spear. The 5 spears merged into one and pierced towards the masked man. Seeing Night Sorrow attack, the masked man's body flashed and he continued to attack Night Sorrow with his sword. The position of his sword was very tricky. It was aimed at Night Sorrow's ribs, which would be the heart. He didn't fight head-on, nor did he fight head-on. Instead, he pursued a one-hit kill. Night Sorrow immediately understood what was going on with this masked man. He was an assassin on a mission. Although he could not see through his opponent's cultivation base, Night Sorrow was not afraid. This was the kind of battle he wanted. Only a battle of life and death like this could increase his combat power and stimulate his potential. His opponent's attacks were tricky. Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear was the opposite of his opponent's. This was also Night Sorrow's confidence in the strength of his attacks. The masked man's dodging and attacking speed were both very fast. He did not fight Night Sorrow head-on and instead wandered around looking for Night Sorrow's flaws. However, Night Sorrow's current spear art was not perfect, but it was very skillful. With the addition of the soaring dragon steps, there were no flaws. After circling around a few times, the masked man discovered that Night Sorrow's defense was unbreakable. He changed his approach and drew a semicircle with his sword before thrusting forward. Since he could not find any flaws in Night Sorrow's defense, he planned to create a flaw for Night Sorrow himself. He and Night Sorrow did not notice that at this moment, at the top of the main building where Night Sorrow lived, Wu Lingfei, who was wearing a white dress, was standing in the air with her hands behind her back. She was watching the battle between Night Sorrow and the masked man. Ding! With a crisp sound, Night Sorrow was pushed back. His opponent's cultivation base was much higher than his, and his true chi was much more abundant. On the other hand, the masked man's energy was like a needle, piercing towards Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. Only when the reincarnation spear was more than halfway through, did Night Sorrow's true chi dissipate it. After Night Sorrow was pushed back, his opponent also felt uncomfortable. Night Sorrow's spiraling energy penetrated into his opponent's sword. After being pushed back, Night Sorrow stomped his feet and dashed forward. His true chi needed time to slow down and buffer. However, Night Sorrow had the energy of the Myriad Tao treasure book. When he dashed forward, the energy in his body followed along. Seeing Night Sorrow dashing towards him, the masked man was stunned for a moment. Then, he casually waved his sword towards Night Sorrow. Even though he lost to Night Sorrow in terms of energy exertion, he understood that Night Sorrow would not have it easy either. After all, his cultivation base was 4 levels higher than Night Sorrow's. He was already at the 5th level of the Void Inquiry stage. Buzz their weapons clashed. Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear released a strong vibration force. After that, the two of them separated again. This time, Night Sorrow gained the upper hand. The energy of his Myriad Tao treasure book and the strength of his body surpassed the strength of the true chi that the masked man hurriedly gathered. In addition, the vibration force also dispersed the impact of his opponent's energy exertion technique. After gaining the upper hand in one move, Night Sorrow swung his reincarnation spear and chased after his opponent. After every clash, his opponent's true chi needed a buffer. Even though the buffer time was very short, Night Sorrow did not need it. His true chi and the energy of the Myriad Tao treasure book alternately attacked. In terms of speed, he was much faster than his opponent. Seeing Night Sorrow dashing towards him again, the masked man let out a low roar. He stomped his feet and his body moved swiftly. Since he could not gain the upper hand in a head-on clash, he began to move around. At this moment, Night Sorrow was chasing after the masked man. However, Night Sorrow's speed was still slower than his opponent's. Night Sorrow also used the energy of the Myriad Tao treasure book to increase his speed. However, the masked man's movement technique was very agile. He could not stop him. I will kill you another day. Your life is mine. When he saw Ho Jian and the others, as well as the Bloodstrike guards, rushing towards the training ground, the masked man's feet trembled and his body soared into the air. If you want to fight, I can watch. However, you can't run. Wu Lingfei waved her arm and a large energy hand grabbed the masked man. 9. Look at the authentic version, Chapter F, above. Who are you? How dare you interfere with the matters of the assassination hall? You are courting death. The masked man roared at Wu Lingfei. Even your hall master would not speak to me like this. Killing you here will only dirty the mansion. Go outside and die. Wu Lingfei snorted and the energy hand flew towards the sky outside the mansion. When it reached the outside, the energy hand squeezed and the masked man turned into a bloody mist. Then, a storage ring flew back to the mansion and fell in front of Night Sorrow. Then, Wu Lingfei's figure disappeared. At this time, Ho Jian and the others arrived at Night Sorrow's side. They only saw the energy hand and did not see Wu Lingfei. "Captain, what happened?" Ho Jian asked when he arrived at Night Sorrow's side. "An assassin came to kill me, but he was killed," Night Sorrow said as he held the storage ring. "Someone came to kill you? Are they tired of living?" "Captain, do you have any clues?" "Let's go and destroy them," Xue Ling said angrily. "This is really unfair. Someone placed a bounty on the assassination hall. I can only be careful. It won't be easy to completely destroy them," Night Sorrow said. "The assassination hall? A few days ago, the assassination hall's front was destroyed. How dare they do this now?" Ho Jian said. "The assassination hall's front was destroyed? Who could be so cruel?" Nan Liue asked. "I don't know." The assassination hall did not respond. However, a few unlucky people who mocked the assassination hall were killed, Lei Bao said. Chapter 441. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by shao. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. When did this happen? Night Sorrow asked as he glanced at the loft where Wu Lingfei was resting. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs. Xiaom Ho Jian and Lei Bao told him what they knew. After listening to Ho Jian and Lei Bao, Night Sorrow thought for a moment and understood that this was probably Wu Lingfei's doing. "Captain, you still have time to think about this? The assassin hall will assassinate you 3 times, each time more ruthless than the last. If they fail 3 times, they will give up. You have to think about the next 2 attempts," Ho Jian said anxiously. "It's fine. Let them come and kill me. This is also a test for me. You guys go rest," Night Sorrow said to the anxious Ho Jian and the others. Then, he nodded at Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu, who looked somewhat uneasy. Love go shao shua w. Chu. After reminding Night Sorrow to be careful, Ho Jian and the others and the Blood Strike guards went back to rest and cultivate. Night Sorrow, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chuyu went to the living room of the main building. 13, are you okay? Yang Lei asked. I'm fine. That guy can't kill me. Auntie Fei crushed him to death when he tried to escape, Night Sorrow said. Don't go out so often. After all, the risk is still very high, Sikong Chuyu said. Chuyu, do you think I should hide and not go out just because someone wants to kill me? I want to see if they can kill me. I also want to see if I can withstand their assassination attempts, Night Sorrow said. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu didn't say anything. They knew that this was Night Sorrow's personality. If they wanted Night Sorrow to be a coward, they might as well kill Night Sorrow. Chuyu, what did Auntie Fei say about your situation? Night Sorrow changed the topic. Auntie Fei gave me some pointers on the direction of my cultivation. The effects are very strong. Although I have not yet stimulated the sky blue water attribute, it is definitely not a problem. In the past, I always felt that I could not exert my strength. Now, I understand that what I have cultivated and grasped is only the tip of the iceberg of my potential, Sikong Chuyu said. That's good. Attributes are also an important factor in determining success, Night Sorrow said. According to the current progress, I should be able to activate it very soon. Sikong Chuyu was indeed very happy. This was because in the history of her family, the sky blue water attribute had appeared. That ancestor who had the sky blue water had dominated an era. After that, Night Sorrow sent the 2 girls to rest. When Night Sorrow wanted to go to Sikong Chuyu's room, he was kicked out. Sikong Chuyu and Yang Lei were still cultivating the fusion technique. They had not completely succeeded. After leaving Sikong Chuyu's room, Night Sorrow went to Wu Lingfei's room. Standing in front of the room, Night Sorrow thought about it and felt that it was the same whether he went in or not. The assassination hall should be Wu Lingfei's doing. You're here. Come in. Wu Lingfei's voice reached Night Sorrow's ears. Night Sorrow turned around and walked into the room. In the living room of the room, Night Sorrow saw Wu Lingfei sitting quietly. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs.com_w, original T first XD Aunt Fei. After entering the living room, Night Sorrow greeted her. Have a seat. Aunt Fei usually sits quietly, so there is no tea for you. Wu Ling concubine pointed to the chair across from her. Night Sorrow smiled and took out a tea set. He went out of the attic to fetch some water and brewed a pot of tea. Aunt Fei, were you the one who tore down the Deathly Hall? After brewing the tea, Yi Shang hesitated for a moment before asking the question in his heart. They wanted to kill you. I was angry, so I tore down the front of the assassination hall. I didn't kill them because one of them told you. I didn't want to kill innocent people, said Wu Lingfei. Auntie Fei, this won't cause any trouble, right? Just like Tianji Tower, the Deathly Hall is a force that belongs to the 9 realms and 18 states, Night Sorrow said worriedly. So what? Aunt Fei said that if I don't let the Hall of Extermination gain a foothold in the eastern Xian region, they will have to scram, said Wu Lingfei. Many thanks, Aunt Fei. Night Sorrow took the teapot and brewed a pot of tea for Wu Lingfei. Don't be so polite with Aunt Fei. You helped Aunt Fei even more, said Wu Lingfei as she took the teacup. Then I won't be so polite with Aunt Fei in the future, said Night Sorrow. Aunt Fei gave the Hall of Extermination a warning. They will revoke the bounty on you. After all, your status in Tianji Tower and the City Lord's mansion makes it difficult to assassinate you, said Wu Lingfei. Maybe they don't know about this. Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. Yes. In the 9 realms and 18 states, the Royal City, City Lord's mansion, and Tianji Tower are places that others cannot easily reach out and touch. Therefore, the Hall of Extermination doesn't know about your situation in Tianji Tower and the City Lord's mansion. It's not that they can't find out, but they didn't investigate because they don't want to offend the City Lord's mansion and Tianji Tower, said Wu Lingfei as she took a sip of tea. So they won't accept this mission? Asked Night Sorrow. How should I put it? That's not it. The Assassin Hall has 2 types of rewards, one is an open reward, and the other is a dark reward. The assassination this time was an open reward, which means that the Assassin Hall gave the mission directly to the Assassin Hall. The other type is a dark reward, which means that the Assassin Hall only receives a third of the reward. The Assassin Hall doesn't care who receives the mission, said Wu Lingfei. I understand. In other words, even if the Hall of Extermination doesn't accept my bounty, they can still assassinate me in the form of dark red. Night Sorrow understood what Wu Lingfei meant. Even if she could influence the open reward, the Hall of Extermination still had the possibility of dark red. So this time, Aunt Fei wants the Hall of Extermination to send over the information of the person who issued the mission. Otherwise, we will remove the Hall of Extermination from the eastern Xian region, said Wu Lingfei. Is that appropriate? Aunt Fei, please don't cause any trouble because of me. Night Sorrow was a little worried because Wu Lingfei was challenging the Hall of Extermination. Don't worry. Aunt Fei knows what to do. This is our territory. Why would we need to care about other people's opinions in our territory? Wu Lingfei smiled confidently. All right. I also need to learn this kind of domineering aura from Aunt Fei, said Night Sorrow looking at Wu Lingfei. Then Aunt Fei will tell you. In this world, the strong are respected. Principles and rules are just empty words. The strong fist is the true reason. Rules are made by the strong and are also broken by the strong. Whoever has the strength is the boss, said Wu Lingfei. I will do my best. Night Sorrow nodded. Aunt Fei believes that you can do it. It's just a matter of time. Aunt Fei also hopes that the eastern Xian region will have an expert rise. One person really can't bear it alone. If something happens to Aunt Fei, the eastern Xian region will fall to the point where it will be trampled by other regions. Many forces will go to other regions to fight for territory when they don't have much space to develop in their own region. Killing will be happening all the time, said Wu Lingfei with a sigh. There is such a thing? I really didn't know about it, said Night Sorrow. Chapter 442. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/little. I'll provide you with a wonderful novel to read. Night Sorrow's heart was greatly shaken. He hadn't expected the Three Origin region to be occupied by the Qingtian region and become a subsidiary region. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, they attacked our Eastern Xian region before. At that time, the Qingtian region joined forces with the Taiyue region to wage a war on our Eastern Xian region. We lost 5 supremacies in that battle, but Ani Fei killed even more and defeated the 2 region lords. The price was that Ani Fei was also heavily injured. This is also the reason why Ani Fei is cultivating in the Eastern Snow Mountain. Although it's called cultivation, most of the time, it's to heal. Wu Lingfei sighed. Is Ani Fei all right now? Night Sorrow asked. Yes. You helped Ani Fei obtain so many ice spirit blood essences. The problem has long been solved. What Ani Fei should do now is to kill those 2 shameless bastards from the Qingtian region and Taiyue region. They shouldn't be able to recover as quickly as Ani Fei, Wu Lingfei said with narrowed eyes. Ani Fei, that's a bit risky. But with my current cultivation, I can't help much, Night Sorrow said in a low voice. There's no need to rush. After learning from the water attribute destiny stone you gave me, Ani Fei has a better grasp of things. With this grasp, I can pursue a higher level. There's no need to rush to deal with them, Wu Lingfei said. Ani Fei, do you need the life crystals? They're not very useful to me, Night Sorrow said. Knowing that the Sikong Chuyu's attribute path was the sky blue water attribute, Night Sorrow didn't have much use for the life crystals. All right. Ani Fei doesn't need to be polite with you. Wu Lingfei nodded. Night Sorrow took out half of the life crystals and piled them up in the room. So many? Wu Lingfei was a bit dumbfounded at the sight of so many life crystals. These were all left behind by the life saintess who wanted to possess me, Night Sorrow said. Then Auntie Concubine will stay. Previously, Auntie Concubine didn't want to use the life crystals, so she planned to rely on herself to find the bottleneck. Now, even if I waste a little bit, I can absorb the weak power of law and the life crystals and break through. Wu Lingfei said excitedly. Here's more life essence. Night Sorrow took out 2 more jade bottles and gave them to Wu Lingfei. Night Sorrow, half of Ani Fei's future achievements come from you. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said. Ani Fei's words are too serious. Then, Auntie Fei should cultivate first. I will go back and cultivate. Night Sorrow said. Okay. Also, go to the City Lord's mansion and inform Elder Kuan Nan that he has something to report to your mansion. As for Tianji Tower, you can also inform Yin Shua or Ho Yuan, Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. I will do it tomorrow. Night Sorrow got up and nodded. Also, don't leave the mansion for the time being. After all, the matter with Death Hall hasn't been settled yet. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded and left Wu Lingfei's place to cultivate. Returning to his secret cultivation room, he took out the soul crystals and ice spirit blood essence and started cultivating. Night Sorrow didn't care about the assassination attempt from Death Hall. Not to mention early 5th Order, even mid-5th Order, Night Sorrow had the strength to fight. Although Night Sorrow couldn't win against late 5th Order, he could still escape. As for Venerables, the chances of them coming after him were slim. Even if they came, they wouldn't be able to get past Wu Lingfei. After cultivating for a night, Night Sorrow went to the City Lord's mansion and Tianji Tower to tell Kuan Nan and Yin Shua about Wu Lingfei's situation in his mansion. After walking around and returning to his residence, Night Sorrow played with Tianyu and the silver fox cub for a while before continuing to cultivate. His true qi cultivation was still far from advancing, but his myriad Daos tome cultivation wasn't far from the 8th level of the consolidation realm. While Yi Shang was cultivating, Mu Sha was reporting the situation to an old man in a secluded courtyard in the sky-bearing city of the sky-bearing region. Golden Phoenix? Something is wrong. Come with me to report this to the other elders and vice hall masters, the old man said solemnly after listening to Mu Sha's report. Then, under the guidance of the white-robed old man, the two went through a few streets and two secret passages. After going through several checks, they entered a small underground palace. Elder Jean, what's going on? A middle-aged man in a black robe asked. Second elder, Mu Sha has returned from the eastern Xian region. He has something to report to the headquarters, so I brought him here. The situation is very serious, so it's best to report it to the hall master and vice hall master, Zhang Yuqing said. She was the elder who brought Mu Sha here. The hall master is in seclusion. Let's invite the vice hall master, the middle-aged man in the black robe said. He was the second elder of the assassination hall, Mu Yuanting. Then, under Mu Yuanting's summons, a few old men and a woman in a white robe and a butterfly mask gathered in the underground palace. When the woman appeared, everyone bowed to greet her. She was the vice hall master of the assassination hall, Swallowtail Butterfly. This was her code name, and she was currently in charge of everything in the assassination hall. Then, Mu Sha reported about the destruction of the Eastern Xian region branch. Hearing that, Swallowtail Butterfly, who was in a white robe, emitted a murderous aura. The murderous aura caused everyone's expression to change drastically. Go on. Swallowtail Butterfly's voice was emotionless. The person who did this is the branch master of the Tianji Tower in the Eastern Xian region. She asked me to bring her name to the headquarters, and also asked them to give her the information of the person who killed Night Sorrow. Mu Sha bowed and said. How audacious. She's really arrogant. She dared to leave her name after destroying our branch. This is a slap to the face of our assassination hall. How can a branch master of the Tianji Tower be so arrogant? What's her name? Swallowtail Butterfly stood up and said. In the 9 regions and 18 states, the assassination hall was not as powerful as the royal city of each region. First of all, the royal city of each region was the local tyrant. They had been operating for countless years. Unless there was a regional war, other forces would not be able to touch the royal city. The royal city's forces were undoubtedly powerful. Almost all the venerables of each region would be under the control of the city lord's office. Other than the royal city's forces, only the Tianji Tower was powerful. However, the Tianji Tower would not provoke the assassination hall for no reason. The assassination hall had been around for countless years. The quantity and quality of the assassins under their command were indisputable. If the Tianji Tower made things difficult for the assassination hall would not be able to withstand it. However, if the assassination hall retaliated, the Tianji Tower would not have an easy time either. This was something everyone knew. Under such circumstances, the destruction of the assassination hall's branch was a big deal. This was a slap to the face, and it was also a declaration of war. That's right. Even the royal city's forces have to give face to the assassination hall. Is a branch master of the Tianji Tower going to start a war? An old man said. This old man was the great elder of the assassination hall, Wu Tianhe. Chapter 443. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. What did you say? Her name is Golden Phoenix. Wu Tianhe stood up in shock. Yes, she said her name is Golden Phoenix. If we don't give her an explanation, she will travel all over the 9 regions and 18 states and wipe out all of our branches, Mu Sha said. Silence. The hall was dead silent. This mission is really... Wu Tianhe sighed. Second elder, bring us all the details of this mission. Let's analyze it and see what's going on, Swallowtail Butterfly said. If it's true, then we've really gotten ourselves into big trouble. If others say that, then it's just bullshit or a threat, but Lord Golden Phoenix's words are absolutely true. If we don't appease her anger, then our branch of the assassination hall will definitely suffer, said Wu Tianhe. I understand. We can only accept our bad luck for provoking her. If she gets angry, the entire eastern Xian region will become a forbidden area for our assassin hall, said the snow-tailed butterfly. There was anger in her voice, but she did not explode. After a while, Zhan Yuqing came with a document. The next chieftain is anonymous. But according to our investigation, he's Ji Yu Hao from the Ji Yu clan. The Ji Yu clan is digging a hole for us. Can't they kill someone? Wu Tian, he said angrily. Digging a hole for us? Then we won't hold back. Second elder, you and Mu Sha go to the eastern Xian region and deal with this matter. Since the Ji Yu clan brought this trouble to us, we'll return the favor. We can't afford to offend Lord Golden Phoenix, so let them. Also, investigate everything about Night Sorrow. Even if he doesn't have any scars, find out everything about him, Swallowtail Butterfly said coldly. There's also some news. The guardian elder of the eastern Xian city has also found me and said that Night Sorrow is from the City Lord Mansion, Mu Sha said. This hole is really deep. Investigate. Investigate both sides. We must get to the bottom of this, Swallowtail Butterfly ordered again. On Night Sorrow's side, he cultivated steadily every day. His cultivation of the myriad Dao Tome had smoothly entered level 8 of the consolidation realm. His soul power had also improved significantly. Although it was still a long way from liquefying, it was still several times stronger than when he had just opened up his deity sea. Right now, there was no one to practice with Night Sorrow. Ho Jian and the others weren't willing, and neither were the members of the Blood Strike Guard. Night Sorrow only focused on his spear arts and footwork. On the other hand, Tianyu and Silver Fox's cultivation improved very quickly. Tianyu's cultivation had already entered the 4th order, level 9, and Silver Fox's cultivation had reached the 3rd order. Ho Jian and the others, in addition to cultivating their true qi every day, would also be sparring. They would also help Yang Lei instruct the disciples under her sect in their cultivation. Qin Zhen was very hard-working in his cultivation. He spent almost all of his time in cultivation. Usually, when he saw him, he was also practicing his swordsmanship. A few days later, Silver Snow arrived at Night Sorrow's residence. Night Sorrow brought him to the main building's living room and served him tea. It's like this. The people from the Assassination Hall's headquarters are here. They want to see the K-Master. Night Sorrow, can you inform the K-Master? Silver Snow asked. I'm here. At that moment, Wu Lingfei, who was wearing a golden mask, entered the living room. Greetings, Your Excellency. Silver Snow stood up and cupped his hands in greeting. I don't want to see them. Go tell them that they must hand over the information of the next K-Master. If they can't, then I'll keep my word. Wu Lingfei sat down and said. The information is here. They have already expressed their apologies and hope that Your Excellency can forgive their mistake. Love Go Little Say, at the same time, he placed a few pieces of paper on the tea table in front of Wu Lingfei. Go back and tell them that this matter is over. Also, tell them that Night Sorrow is a core member of the Tianji Tower's headquarters. Also, tell them whether they want to accept the reward or not. Also, tell them that Night Sorrow is still a member of the City Lord's mansion. Wu Lingfei said. I'll do it right away. Silver Snow stood up and said. Then go. Wu Lingfei waved her hand. Night Sorrow sent Silver Snow out of Qingxin Cottage. At the same time, he asked about the situation at Broken Cloud Mountain. It's still the same. Our advantage has been taken away. Dark spiritual corpses often attack together at the spatial passage. They come out from inside and sneak attack one person. It's very difficult to deal with them, so our venerables can't guard the spatial passage. Silver Snow explained the situation to Night Sorrow. If we don't guard the spatial passage, won't we return to the same situation as before? Night Sorrow said with a frown. Yes, there's nothing we can do about it. The nature of the spatial passage is too disgusting. Dark spiritual corpses also appear at the Island of Darkness. However, the situation there is still manageable. They can't run back once they come out, so as long as they appear, they will be killed. Silver Snow was helpless. The dark creatures in the death space were not only strong in terms of quality, but also in terms of quantity. I understand. I'll talk to Aunt Faye later and see if there's any way. Night Sorrow nodded to Silver Snow. Silver Snow was stunned for a moment, then left. He was stunned because of the way Night Sorrow addressed him. After leaving, Silver Snow knew that Night Sorrow's position in Wu Lingfei's eyes had already surpassed the higher-ups of Tianji Tower. First of all, her attitude towards him was different. After returning to the mansion, Night Sorrow sat opposite Wu Lingfei. Wu Lingfei was looking at the information sent by the assassination hall. Take a look. It's someone from the Qingtian domain's Ji Yu family. Wu Lingfei threw the information in front of Night Sorrow. After taking a look at the information, Yi Shang calmed himself down and let out a sigh of relief. Just as he had expected, it really was someone from Ji Yu's family. Moreover, it was that shameless Ji Yu Hao who wanted to marry into the Sikong family. What do you think? Wu Lingfei took a sip of tea and asked. Nothing. With or without this bounty mission, I'm not done with the Ji Yu family. Father Gu, who adopted me, had his arm chopped off by a disciple of the Ji Yu family. I won't give up. Night Sorrow said. Then bear with it. The Eastern Xian domain is chaotic. You have to improve your strength in this situation. Anyway, the Ji Yu family is there. They can't run away. Wu Lingfei said. Don't worry, Aunt Fei. I'm not an impulsive person. I won't be rash before I'm strong enough. Night Sorrow folded the information and put it away. Good. In fact, you're not the only one who has a grudge against them. When the Qingtian domain and Taiyue domain joined forces to attack our Eastern Xian domain, the Qingtian domain was the main force. Ji Yu family also had a part in it. Therefore, you're not the only one who wants to deal with them. I also want to deal with them. Wu Lingfei stood up and said. I know. So, whether it's for public or private reasons, I want to deal with the Ji Yu family. Night Sorrow said. First published in AA. Chapter 444. Geniuses remember love in 1 second go? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Yes, I would like to know what you think, Aunt Fei, Night Sorrow said. In the past, Night Sorrow would have thought that Wu Lingfei's opinion was a good way to solve the problem. Now, however, he knew that Wu Lingfei's opinion could determine the direction of the situation. Aunt Fei doesn't want to take action yet. This is a training exercise for the Eastern Xian region. You might think it's cruel, but it's not good to rely on one person to solve everything. The Eastern Xian region can't rely on one person. Perhaps some experiences will allow a cultivator to grow, Wu Lingfei said. I understand what Aunt Fei means. I plan to take them to participate in the battle. Everyone needs to train, Night Sorrow said. Go if you want to, but be careful. A battle isn't just a battle of the body. Smart people fight with their brains. Bravery doesn't equate to recklessness, Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Don't worry, Aunt Fei. I'm not stupid. Night Sorrow nodded. Go. It's easier for your girlfriend to stimulate the attributes of the sky blue water after training. Wu Lingfei glanced at Sikong Chuyu's loft and left. After a night of cultivation, Night Sorrow got up and gathered the Blood Strike Guards, Ho Jian, and the others. The battle at Broken Cloud Mountain of Star Cloud sect is still very intense. I plan to take everyone there to fight. We can contribute to the Eastern Xian region and improve our cultivation through actual combat. What do you all think? Night Sorrow said. We'll follow Captain's orders, the Blood Strike Guards shouted. We don't have any problems either, Ho Jian and the others replied loudly. How about this? Xueling, you'll first integrate Ho Qingjin into the blood-robed guard. Let him get used to the rhythm of battle. Ho Jian, you'll integrate Qingjie into the Empyrean Terminus Tower team. Night Sorrow made arrangements for Ho Qingjie and Qingjin. Yes. Xue Ling bowed. The members of the Blood Strike Guard were all arrogant. If an ordinary person had wanted to join them, they would have definitely rejected them. However, Qin Zhen's hard work in cultivation and his actual combat prowess had won their approval, so they had long since gotten along well with him. That's good. Get ready. We'll set off in half a cup of tea's time. Night Sorrow dismissed the assembled crowd. On the other side, Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu also packed up and brought some daily necessities. Then, the group gathered together again. Get on your mounts and set off. Night Sorrow summoned Tianyu and got on Tianyu's back with Silver Fox. They then flew towards the teleportation circle. Night Sorrow paid the spiritual stones and let the people behind him teleport to Nebula Sect in several batches. Then, he put away Tianyu and Silver Fox, followed by Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu, who had also put away their mounts, and entered the teleportation circle to Nebula Sect. Using the teleportation circle, one could not recall their mounts, but they had to pay spiritual stones. Therefore, no one would be stupid enough to not recall their mounts into the beast-taming space and spend more spiritual stones. After exiting the teleportation circle, Night Sorrow saw a group of people waiting for him. They had all released their mounts and were ready to set off. Waving his arm, Night Sorrow led the group and flew towards Broken Cloud Mountain. Ho Jian, we're Tianji Tower's team. Pay more attention, Night Sorrow said to Ho Jian. Now, the team under Tianji Tower had increased again. Night Sorrow, Yang Lei, Sikong Chuyu, Ho Jian, Ho Qingjia, Lei Bao, Lei Zheng, and Nan Liyue. There were now 8 of them. Also, because they had been living together with the 30 members of the Blood Strike Guard, there was no need to hide their identities. There was no point in doing so. The most important reason was that the brothers of the Blood Strike Guard were absolutely reliable. As for Qin Zhen, he was currently not qualified to join Tianji Tower. Night Sorrow could only let him join the Blood Strike Guard. Qin Zhen, your mount is not bad, Xue Ling said as he looked at Qin Zhen's tiger eagle. Brother 13 gave it to me, Qin Zhen said. Qin Zhen had been cultivating with the members of the Blood Strike Guard during this period of time. He had become more talkative and his personality had changed. All right. Captain is really awesome. That black-feathered eagle was tamed right under our noses, Xue Ling said with some emotion. Don't worry. If there's a suitable one, I'll give it to you, Night Sorrow said. That's right. Captain's Tianyu is at the peak of the 4th rank. He's not an adult yet. Even if you catch a good mount, you don't need to change it, Xue Fei said. More, new. Hurry up and get on O2. Night Sorrow reached out and touched Tianyu's neck. Of course it's good to have a mount with a high cultivation level. However, to me, Tianyu is not just a mount. He's a battle partner and a brother. No matter what his cultivation level is, I won't change him for the rest of my life. When I was in the Qi refinement stage, he fought with me. If it wasn't for him, I might have died a few times. Night Sorrow remembered very clearly that if it wasn't for Tianyu, he wouldn't have been able to climb up the cliff behind the bamboo forest peak. He would have died of hunger and thirst down there. During the battle with the Green Water Sect, if Tianyu hadn't been fast enough, he would have been killed by the people of the Green Water Sect. Night Sorrow had always remembered these things. We understand how you feel, Captain, Xue Ling said. My and Tianyu's situations are not suitable for you. If you have a good mount, you should change it. You can't say that changing mounts is unkind or unjust. You can let your old mounts retire or set them free. Those are all good choices. My 9th senior sister's mount is now in the Medicine Valley's Taishian Peak for retirement. Night Sorrow said. Time passed unknowingly as they hurried along while chatting. In the evening, the group of people arrived at the camp of the Xian Domain's human cultivators in Yinduan Shandong. Night Sorrow didn't let Ho Jian and the others wear masks. This time, they weren't participating in the battle as members of Tianji Tower. After looking at the camp, Night Sorrow was stunned. He saw Gong Xian, some elite disciples of the Medicine Valley, and members of other sections. This made Night Sorrow realize that the 7 superpowers of the Eastern Xian domain had come to participate in the battle against the dark creatures. Ninth junior sister, 13, Chuyu, you're all here, Gong Xian greeted Night Sorrow, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chuyu. Eldest senior brother, 11th senior brother, sister Lingfei, you're all here too, Night Sorrow said as he looked at Imo Chen and Chu Lingfei, who were beside Gong Xian. Yes, the situation here is more serious. Master wants me to bring people over to provide support, Gong Xian said. You guys go to your sects and say hello. Gather here tomorrow morning for the battle, Night Sorrow said to Ho Jian and the others. Ho Jian, Nan Liyue, Lei Bao, and the others bowed to Night Sorrow and went to their sections. They had to greet the elders of their sects when they saw them. Of course, Night Sorrow had to agree. After all, Night Sorrow was their captain. In the team, obeying orders was the most important thing. Chapter 445. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow is here. The masked Lan Yuxuan waved at Night Sorrow. Seniors are all here. Night Sorrow cupped his hands in greeting. Are you itching for a fight again? Qin Nan asked with a smile. Haha. Governor Qin must be joking. If there's a problem, we have to do our part, Night Sorrow said. Lei Hua brought Night Sorrow into the tent and asked about the assassination attempt on Night Sorrow. Lei Hua received the news from Yin Shui because a new patrol had come to participate in the battle. It's fine. This matter should be over, Night Sorrow said with a smile. You should be careful. This governor doesn't have time to go back. When I go back, I will look for them. If they dare to assassinate the people of the City Lord Mansion, then their assassination hall shouldn't stay in our Eastern Xian region, Qin Nan said coldly. This matter has already been dealt with. I've troubled Governor Qin, Night Sorrow cupped his hands and said to Qin Nan. Don't feel pressured. Today's battle is over. You just have to lead your men to battle tomorrow. As I said, be careful of sneak attacks. Qin Nan looked at the shoulder pads on Night Sorrow's shoulders. She was very familiar with them. Night Sorrow left a jar of wine for them and returned to the camp. The Blood Strike guards had already set up their tents. In the middle were Night Sorrow, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chuyu's tents. The Qin Zhen and the Blood Strike guards had already mixed together. This fellow's cultivation is rising really fast. He might attract the jealousy of others, Lan Yuxuan said as she watched Night Sorrow's departing figure. In tomorrow's battle, we still have to keep an eye on him. Last time, he was ambushed by the dark spiritual corpse twice. I reckon that he will be the target of those bastards again, Lei Hua said. In that case, I'll keep an eye on his team. You guys focus on keeping an eye on the other teams with outstanding combat power, Lan Yuxuan said. This was the current method of the human camp. While training the cultivators, it was also a form of protection. That's good. Everyone else is the same. Lei Hua nodded and said. Muashin. Chapter D Section 8 on 0N1, A night passed. After Night Sorrow finished his cultivation, he began to organize the team. I don't care how many you can kill. However, safety comes first. No matter the situation, you are not allowed to leave anyone behind, Night Sorrow said as he looked at Ho Jian's group and the blood guards. Captain, don't worry. Everyone bowed. Alright, let's prepare for battle. There's one more thing. You can't go beyond my attack range. In other words, you're not allowed to go too deep, Night Sorrow emphasized. After seeing the group of people nod, Night Sorrow led a group of people and followed the other teams as they advanced to the front of the defensive line. The reincarnation spear was like a weapon from hell, constantly reaping the lives of the dark creatures. The Blood Strike Guard, Ho Jian, and the others kept encircling the dark creatures in their circle of attack. Then, they cooperated and killed the dark creatures that were encircled. Be careful. There are some rank 5 dark creatures up ahead. Night Sorrow kept releasing his soul power to check the situation in the surroundings. If a high-level dark creature appeared, he would discover it immediately. This team has been baptized in battle. Their individual combat power is strong and their group combat power is also ridiculously strong. Lan Yuxuan said to Qin Nan, who was standing beside her. At this moment, the two of them were standing in the sky behind the human cultivators, monitoring the entire battle. The other teams were the same. There were high-level human cultivators behind them. However, these high-level human cultivators also had a common understanding. They wouldn't attack unless a venerable realm dark creature appeared. This was to let the new generation of cultivators temper themselves. If they attacked when there was danger, they would lose the meaning of tempering themselves. 3 rank 5 dark creatures came to Night Sorrow's side. After Night Sorrow blocked one of them, he released a few more and let the others surround and kill them. At this moment, the combat power of Ho Jian's group and the Blood Strike Guard was different from when they fought on the Dark Island. At that time, the highest cultivation base in the group was at the peak of the 4th rank. Now, there were more than 10 members of the 5th rank. Therefore, the 3 Void Inquiry stage dark creatures didn't bring any danger to the team. Night Sorrow killed the dark creatures he faced with a few shots. However, his expression changed greatly at the same time because the Medicine Valley's team couldn't hold on anymore. Gong Xian blocked a rank 5 dark zombie, but Mo Chen's team couldn't. He was hit by a dark lizard's claw and vomited blood. The dark lizard continued to pounce on Mo Chen. Chapter 446. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Spatial ripples visible to the naked eye appeared and rapidly pushed forward. He couldn't see clearly, but through the ripples, he could feel the crescent-shaped energy slash. It instantly flew into the back of the head of this dark lizard that had just entered the 5th rank, and then flew out from its chin. After cutting the rocks on the ground into pieces, it even created a large trench. At this time, the other disciples of the Medicine Valley rushed up and protected Mo Chen. Seeing that Mo Chen was safe, Night Sorrow felt relieved. He didn't want anything to happen to his senior brother. Besides, he was closer to Mo Chen than the other senior brothers. After all, they were familiar with each other. 13, well done. Yang Lei was a little excited. She was stunned just now. If it wasn't for Sikong Chuyu helping her defend, she would have been injured. 9th senior sister. You better take care of yourself. Night Sorrow glanced at Yang Lei and said. Good job, 13. Gong Xian shouted at Night Sorrow as he executed the Tempest Sword technique and killed his opponent. Eldest senior brother, be careful, Night Sorrow shouted as he waved his reincarnation spear and killed the dark creatures. What kind of ultimate skill is that? Lan Yuxuan looked at Night Sorrow's figure in surprise. Love go little say ku, I don't know. Just now, he was holding the spear with both hands. Who knows how he unleashed that move? It even carried spatial energy. Could it be some kind of spirit artifact? Qin Nan was also somewhat confused. No, if it's a spirit artifact, then there would be a very strong energy fluctuation when it's activated. We didn't feel it at all. His hidden trump card is really deep. Lan Yuxuan said with some emotion. Haha. Our escort team will soon have another commander. Qin Nan said excitedly. That's not necessarily true. Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. Are you planning to snatch him? Qin Nan glared at Lan Yuxuan. Look at C5 edition Z chapter GR, Governor Qin's words are wrong. He was originally one of us, right? Lan Yuxuan glanced at Night Sorrow who was fighting hard and laughed. All right. You win. Qin Nan snorted coldly and didn't continue to dwell on this issue. She knew that there were some things that didn't need to be said. She knew Wu Ling Fei's identity and knew that Night Sorrow's future wasn't something that Lan Yuxuan and the others could arrange. Night Sorrow continued to charge forward, leaving a trail of dark creature corpses behind him. He had already lost count of how many Tier 5 dark creatures he had killed. Love Go Little Say Ku, one of them, was very strong. Night Sorrow was the one who took the brunt of the attack. Everyone worked together to kill it. After killing it, they took out its crystal nucleus. Based on the patterns on its crystal nucleus, they knew that it was a void inquiry stage dark zombie. After fighting for 3 hours, the banners near the defensive line were waved, and everyone was ordered to retreat. After such a high-intensity battle, many people were already exhausted. If they continued to fight, the casualties would increase infinitely. The human cultivators retreated, and the dark creatures returned to their original positions. When human cultivators died, their corpses would be collected. The corpses of dark creatures naturally became food for the dark creatures. After retreating, Night Sorrow checked on the team. There were only 2 people who suffered light injuries. It wouldn't affect them in tomorrow's battle. After that, Night Sorrow and Yang Lei went to the Medicine Valley. The core members of the Medicine Valley didn't die. However, a few of them were injured. Enchanting suffered a very serious internal injury. 13, thank you. Seeing Night Sorrow, Chu Lingfei wiped the corner of her eyes and greeted him. Sister Lingfei, there's no need to be so polite between us. Night Sorrow went to Enchanting. 11th senior brother, how was it? I'm fine. If it wasn't for you, 13 would be a corpse now. Looking at Night Sorrow, Enchanting felt a little emotional. 2 years ago, Night Sorrow was still a child who needed his protection. But now, he was already a void inquiry stage cultivator who could take charge of everything. Moreover, he even saved his life. Eldest senior brother, there shouldn't be any big problems on our side, right? Night Sorrow looked at Gong Xian and asked. It's impossible to have no casualties on the battlefield. The losses are still bearable. Come over and greet the Vice Valley Master. Gong Xian said to the team of Medicine Valley disciples. Greetings, Vice Valley Master. The other disciples of Medicine Valley bowed to Night Sorrow. Everyone, don't be so polite. Eldest senior brother, do we have enough healing medicine here? Night Sorrow asked. No problem. It's supplied by the City Lord Mansion. In addition, we still have the spiritual liquid you gave us. It will be very useful during critical times. Gong Xian nodded. All right then. If you have any problems, go over there and call for me. Night Sorrow cupped his fists at Gong Xian and then left the Medicine Valley camp, returning to the area where the blood-robed guards were stationed. However, Yang Lei stayed there and chatted with her senior and junior brothers. After returning to the camp, Night Sorrow called his subordinates who had reached the 5th tier to his tent. Then, he took out the clear void pills and distributed some to each of them. It's a very good shortcut to improve your cultivation base during a battle. Cultivate diligently after the battle. Xue Ling, distribute these spirit calming pills to the other brothers. After distributing the clear void pills to the members of the 5th tier, Night Sorrow took out some spirit calming pills. Xue Ling thanks Captain on behalf of the other brothers. Xue Ling bowed and said. After that, the members of the blood-robed guards left. Yang Lei also returned to Night Sorrow's tent. The battle was too fierce. Our Medicine Valley lost some disciples during this period of time, Yang Lei said sadly. 9th senior sister, take some life serum and give it to eldest senior brother. Let him distribute it to the others for self-defense. This way, if there's a problem, they can take a drop of life serum in time to stabilize their injuries and maintain their combat strength. Their chances of survival will be higher. Night Sorrow took out his jar of life serum, poured a bottle of pills into it, and handed it to Yang Lei. Alright, I'll send it over. Yang Lei took the bottle of life serum and went to the Medicine Valley area. Night Sorrow poured another bottle of life serum into it. Then, he called for Xue Ling and Ho Jian. This is a type of life serum that contains life serum. It's very effective for both healing and recovery. Distribute it equally among the brothers, Night Sorrow said. Thank you, Captain. Ho Jian and Xue Ling bowed to express their gratitude. They knew that this was something that could save their lives. All right, there's no need for such formalities between us brothers. Night Sorrow waved his hand at them. Then, Night Sorrow gave Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu a small bottle of life serum each. He had a very large jar, and this was only 1/10 of the total amount. Night Sorrow had some plans. He had already cultivated the myriad Tao Tome to level 8 of the Consolidation Realm. He was not far from the level 5 Dao Querying Realm. Night Sorrow did not know how to deal with the problem of cultivation resources for entering the Dao Querying Realm. If there were no suitable cultivation resources, Night Sorrow would have to use the life serum to cultivate. Yi Shang knew that it was completely possible. The life spirit fluid was a spirit fluid that contained extremely strong vitality. It was a resource that both cultivators and demonic beasts needed. Chapter 447. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with interesting novels to read. The first level of the Myriad Dao Treasure Tome was the Blood Refining Realm, which was equivalent to the Qi Refining Realm. The second level was the Muscle Strengthening Realm, which was equivalent to the Qi Refining Realm. The third level was the Bone Forging Realm, which was equivalent to the Core Formation Realm. The fourth level was the Unity Realm, which was equivalent to the Spirit Severing Realm. The fifth level was the Dao Querying Realm, which was equivalent to the Void Inquiry Realm. The sixth level was the Spirit Refinement Realm, which was equivalent to the Boundless Heaven Realm, which was equivalent to the Venerable Realm. The seventh level was the Golden Body Realm, which was equivalent to the Sage Realm. Currently, Night Sorrow's Myriad Dao Treasure Tome was at the 8th level of the Unity Realm. The next level was the Dao Querying Realm, which was a rather special realm. It was a summary of the previous 4 levels. After entering the Dao Querying Realm, one would have to break the barrier of the energy in each area of the body. In other words, one would have to unify the energy in one's flesh, blood, veins, bones, bone marrow and internal organs. This way, the energy would burst out faster and the strength of one's attack and defense would increase by leaps and bounds. Ordinary cultivators would use their qi to activate the profound meaning of the heavenly Dao. After reaching the peak of the Void Inquiry Realm, one would enter the Venerable Realm, which would allow one to become one with the world and use the energy of heaven and earth. The Myriad Dao Treasure Tome was about using one's body to seek the Dao. The Dao Querying Realm was similar to the Void Inquiry Realm. After reaching the peak of the Dao Querying Realm, one would enter the Spirit Refinement Realm, which was the same as the Venerable Realm for true Qi cultivators. The Myriad Dao Treasure Tome had a great advantage in terms of foundation. Both of them had reached the realm where one could communicate with the energy of heaven and earth. However, cultivating the Myriad Dao Treasure Tome had an additional benefit, which was to have a strong body. The highest level of the Sacred Cauldron Scripture was the Sage Realm. However, the 8th level of the Myriad Dao Treasure Tome was the Undead Realm while the 9th level was the Rebirth Realm. This was also the reason why Night Sorrow attached great importance to the Myriad Dao Treasure Tome. The starting point was the same but the results were different. What are you thinking about? You are so engrossed in your thoughts. Sikong Chuyu waved her hand in front of Night Sorrow's eyes. Night Sorrow explained to Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu, I was a bit distracted. This thing is a bit different from the Spiritual Essence Elixir. The Spiritual Essence Elixir is a great help for Jin Qi. It can calm the unstable Jin Qi and also replenish the Jin Qi consumed. This Spiritual Essence Elixir can stabilize the body's injuries. #original NH initial square root $forward $, we understand. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu nodded. We've been fighting for an entire day. Let's make the best use of our time to cultivate. This way, we'll be able to increase our cultivation base more firmly. Night Sorrow nodded to Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. He took out the mysterious ice jade that Wu Lingfei gave him and began to meditate. While Night Sorrow was cultivating peacefully, some of the venerables were present in the command tent of the Eastern Xian region's cultivators. If we continue like this, we will be at a disadvantage, Dai Tianxiang said. For the time being, but as time passes, this disadvantage will turn into an advantage. There are many monsters in the death space, but is there an endless supply? That's impossible. Ho Yuan, who was wearing a mask, said. It's impossible for there to be an endless supply. If we continue killing like this, there will be an end. This is a great tempering for the cultivators of the eastern Xian region. Those who can survive such a battle are elites. As for those who die, we will thank them for their contributions to the eastern Xian region. At the same time, we will also save resources for others. Those who survive will have an easier time rising up. This is the great wave washing away the sand. The others nodded. The survival of the fittest was the law of survival. This was the great wave washing away the sand. These big shots who had gone through countless hardships to reach the venerable realm all understood this principle. Although many of those who died in battle were their juniors, they could only accept it. Then we will continue to fight. If we don't have enough people, we will mobilize some of the Black Iron Guards from the City Lord's mansion. Love go little say, Qin Nan said. Not for the time being. Look at the teams from the 7 great sections. They do have cultivation, but their cultivation bases are high and their battle prowess is low. They can't compare to Yishan's team at all. A group of spoiled hedonistic disciples need to be tempered with iron and blood. Tell them to send more people over, said Lei Hua somewhat angrily. The others silently agreed. In today's battle, the difference in strength between the teams was very obvious. They were all 4th order teams led by 5th order teams, but their combat strength was completely trash in front of Knight Soro's team. No one objects. Let's arrange it this way. If they don't contribute, then we will settle the score with them later, Qin Nan said. In addition, there are some special seedlings that everyone should pay attention to, Lan Yuxuan said. She didn't want to see the direct members of Tianji Tower lose their lives. Everyone must pay attention to this. If they are not strong enough, then it's their own business if they die in battle, but if they are killed by the Dark Spirit Corpse, then it's our fault, Lei Hua said. Did you guys notice the move Knight Sorrow used to save people today? Was it the space slash? Dai Tianxiang asked. It should be some kind of unique skill. It's personal, so let's not dig into it, Lei Hua said. Others didn't know what was going on, but Lei Hua knew. He knew that it was the unique skill of the descendants of Night Moon's dynasty, space slash. Knight Sorrow cultivated for the whole night. After getting up, he stretched his muscles and walked out of the tent. After leaving the tent, Knight Sorrow was stunned. The Blood Strike Guards and Ho Jian were all up. They were roasting 3 monsters in the middle of the camp. Captain, come. It's almost done. After eating and drinking, we brothers will continue to kill, Xueling shouted to Knight Sorrow. I don't eat dark monsters. Knight Sorrow frowned. When he thought of the dark creatures and dark zombies, Knight Sorrow didn't have any thoughts. Captain, you're thinking too much. This is the yellow antelope that the Qinjin woke up early to hunt on our side of the defensive line, Xue Fei said with a smile. Then let's eat. Qinjin, thank you for your hard work. You have to hurry up and cultivate, Knight Sorrow said as he patted Qinjin's shoulder. After waking up this morning, I didn't have much to do, so I went hunting and came back to get some food for everyone. Thank you all for taking care of me, Qinjin said with a red face. Qinjin, go get some game for everyone. Everyone will be happy, but there's no need to thank us. We are brothers, Xueling said to Qinjin. Thank you, Vice Captain. I understand, Qinjin nodded. I'll take care of the wine. After eating, we will continue to fight. Let's see if these dark creatures can stop us. Knight Sorrow took out a dozen jars of wine and placed them beside the fire. Haha. No matter who it is, as long as they stand in our way, we will kill them. Ho Jian said with a laugh. Kill. Anyone who stands in our way will be killed. Xueling and the others also said loudly. Then, the group opened the wine jars, cut the meat of the yellow antelope, and distributed it. Brothers, let's eat and drink well. Let's continue to kill. I will take care of the prey that comes back tonight, Xue Fei shouted. This momentum is soaring. Dai Tianxiang exclaimed. Chapter 448. A genius remembers love in 1 second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. After drinking, the group of people formed a battle formation. Brothers, I'll say it again. We won't leave any of our brothers behind. Many years later, when I stand in front of all of you and look back, I hope that one of you will be missing, Knight Sorrow said. We won't let you down, Captain. Ho Jian and the rest of the Blood Strike Guards shouted. Then, the group left the camp and arrived at the defensive line. The other groups also arrived at the defensive line. Knight Sorrow tied the sky-piercing spear with and without the ice serpent tendon to his waist. Then, the group set out to fight. The intensity of the battle was the same as the day before. In fact, it was even more intense. Knight Sorrow brandished his reincarnation spear and the dark creatures fell one after another. When the Medicine Valley disciples were in danger, Knight Sorrow would fire his sky-piercing spear to save them. After fighting for 2 hours, Knight Sorrow's group killed countless enemies and saved the Medicine Valley disciples 4 times. With Knight Sorrow's help, no one in the Medicine Valley died. On the other hand, the Scarlet Cloud sect to the right of Knight Sorrow was in a sorry state. At this moment, 2 rank 5 dark zombies appeared in front of Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow wasn't worried about the 2 mid-stage rank 5 dark zombies. Just as Knight Sorrow's group was paying attention to the Medicine Valley, the Scarlet Cloud sect started a riot. 3 dark zombies appeared there. At this moment, something unexpected happened. Dozens of people from the Scarlet Cloud sect rushed towards Knight Sorrow's group. They even brought the dark creatures with them. Hold your ground. Kill all of them. Knight Sorrow was enraged. The Scarlet Cloud sect's actions were too vile. They could retreat if they couldn't hold on, but they couldn't do this. They were just causing trouble for others. Otherwise, Knight Sorrow wouldn't have given the order to kill them. Trash. Qin Nan, who was monitoring Knight Sorrow's area from the sky, cursed. Human cultivator parasites, let's see if Knight Sorrow and the others can hold on. If they can't, we'll take action. The situation has already gone beyond our expectations. Lan Yuxuan's face was covered by a mask, so it was impossible to tell if she was happy or angry, but her voice was cold. At this moment, Knight Sorrow made his move. The sky-piercing spear with the ice serpent tendon shot out continuously, killing several members of the Scarlet Cloud sect who were charging towards them. This was something that couldn't be helped. If this group of people rushed over, Knight Sorrow's side would be thrown into chaos. Seeing Knight Sorrow's ruthless attack, the people from the Scarlet Cloud sect no longer dared to charge forward and retreated. However, the group of dark creatures that attacked them had been lured over. Tighten the defense and stabilize the formation. After Knight Sorrow gave the order, he joined the battle with 2 dark zombies that were charging towards him. Due to the urgency of the situation, Knight Sorrow fought with all his might, suppressing the 2 Type 5 zombies. However, he couldn't kill them. After all, there were still many Type 4 dark creatures attacking him. The situation of Ho Jian and the blood-robed guards wasn't looking good. The Scarlet Cloud sect had brought over 3 dark zombies, and their levels weren't low. Stabilize. Type 5 members, keep them busy. The rest, defend the perimeter. Knight Sorrow shouted. He then fired a spatial rend at the Type 5 zombie that he had just defeated. He had to end the battle quickly. Otherwise, Ho Jian and the others who had just entered the Type 5 realm wouldn't be able to hold on against the Type 5 zombies. If that happened, they would be in danger. If there were only Type 5 zombies, Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu would still be able to hold on since they were at a disadvantage. However, there were too many dark creatures at the moment. They had to face attacks at all times. The other 3 dark zombies were all mid-Type 5 dark zombies. The spatial rend that Knight Sorrow used was very sudden. The Type 4 dark zombie couldn't withstand it and its head was directly split open by the spatial rend. After killing this dark zombie, Night Sorrow turned around and rushed towards Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. Ho Jian, Xueling, you two go and block this one. Night Sorrow did not continue attacking this dark zombie because its level was slightly lower. It had just entered the Type 4 Void Inquiry stage. Ho Jian and Xueling could hold it off for a while. Currently, the most dangerous ones were the 3 dark zombies that the Scarlet Cloud sect brought over. Seeing that the situation was urgent, Night Sorrow launched the heaven-piercing spear with the Ice Flood Dragon's tendon when he dashed forward. It repelled one of the dark zombies and separated the 3 dark zombies from each other. Ninth senior sister, Chu Yu and Li Yu, the 3 of you go and control this one. Night Sorrow shook his arm and kept the heaven-piercing spear. Then, he roared at Yang Lei, Sikong Chuyu, and Nan Liyue. After shouting, Night Sorrow dashed towards the dark zombie in the lead. He brandished the reincarnation spear and displayed the 7-star brilliant moon spear, aiming it at the dark zombie's chest. Original F version, first 7 shots bang. Night Sorrow's spear landed on the dark zombie's blade that it used to block the attack. Under Night Sorrow's spiraling attack, the dark zombie was pushed back by the strong penetrating force. At this moment, another dark zombie slashed its blade towards Night Sorrow's side. Out of the 3 dark zombies that the Scarlet Cloud sect brought over, one was taken away by Yang Lei, Sikong Chuyu, and Nan Liyue. Night Sorrow still had to face 2 more. Retreat! Night Sorrow roared. He waved his left hand and used the earth-shaking hand to welcome the dark zombie's blade. At the same time, he brandished the reincarnation spear in his right hand again. He used the myriad Dao Tome's energy to display the vibration force, which didn't conflict with the earth-shaking hand's true chi. Bang! Night Sorrow's earth-shaking hand collided with the second dark zombie's blade. After a loud explosion, the dark zombie's blade and arm were shattered. At the same time, Night Sorrow's spear also repelled the dark zombie in front of him. Taking 2 steps forward, Night Sorrow brandished his spear again. He was still using the myriad Dao Tome's energy because his true chi had been exhausted. Following the explosion, the dark zombie that was at the peak of rank 5, rank 6 was once again repelled by Night Sorrow. At the same time, Night Sorrow's innate bloodline energy burst forth once again and released a spatial rend. Kacha! The dark zombie that was continuously repelled by Night Sorrow had its head chopped off by the energy of the spatial rend. However, Night Sorrow didn't have it easy either. The moment his body stopped after releasing the spatial rend, the dark zombie that had lost its right arm punched him in the back, sending him flying. This caused him to spit out a mouthful of blood. Kill! The myriad Dao Tome's energy circulated once in his body. Night Sorrow brandished his reincarnation spear and charged towards the dark zombie that had lost its right arm. Although Night Sorrow's true chi was exhausted and he was punched, the dark zombie that had lost its right arm was no match for him. After 3 spears, Night Sorrow shattered its neck. However, Night Sorrow also spat out another mouthful of blood. Captain! At this time, Ho Jian and Xueling, who had killed the rank 5, rank 4 dark zombie, rushed over and blocked the ordinary dark creatures that were attacking Night Sorrow. Retreat! Night Sorrow supported himself with the reincarnation spear so that he wouldn't fall. After consuming a drop of origin energy and a drop of life liquid, he gave the order to retreat. This was because the flag at the eastern Xian region's defense line was waving. That was the order to retreat. At this time, Yang Lei, Sikong Chuyu, and the others had joined forces to kill the last rank 5 dark zombie. Chapter 449. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Let's go back first, Night Sorrow said as he patted Lei Bao's shoulder. When they arrived at the campsite, Night Sorrow entered his tent and sat down cross-legged to meditate and heal his injuries. His injuries weren't serious, but his internal organs were shaken. His main problem was that he had consumed too much of his genuine qi and myriad Dao treasured tome. He couldn't even activate the Golden Phoenix battle armor. At this moment, the Blood Strike guards, Ho Jian, and the rest surrounded Knight Soro's tent. Gong Xian, who had delivered the sky-piercing spear, was among them. Everyone's expression was unsightly because Yi Shang's injuries were caused by the Scarlet Cloud sect. Vice Captain, we can't let this go. Let's kill them. Xue Fei's eyes were bloodshot as he looked at the campsite of the Scarlet Cloud sect. Of course we can't let this go. Let's wait for the captain to finish healing, Xue Ling said with killing intent in his voice. After an hour, Knight Sorrow came out of his tent. With the help of the spiritual liquid of origin and spiritual liquid of life, he had almost recovered. The punch wasn't much of a problem. Without saying a word, Knight Sorrow walked toward the campsite of the Scarlet Cloud sect with the reincarnation spear. If he didn't say anything after being tricked, he wouldn't be Knight Sorrow. Ho Jian and the others, as well as the blood-robed guards, followed. They all had stomachs full of anger. Everyone knew that if it weren't for Knight Sorrow, even if they weren't completely wiped out, they would have suffered heavy losses. What are you doing? Seeing Knight Sorrow and the rest coming over, the disciples of the Scarlet Cloud sect were on alert. What are we doing? Ask your supervisor to come out. He's the leader of today's battle, Knight Sorrow said as he pointed at the tent in the middle of the campsite of the Scarlet Cloud sect. In the command tent, a group of honorables was discussing how to deal with this matter. When they found out that Knight Sorrow and the rest had arrived at the campsite of the Scarlet Cloud sect, everyone stood up. What should we do? Qin Nan looked at Lei Hua and asked. Lei Hua was currently wearing the Tianji Tower mask, but Qin Nan knew that Lei Hua was actually the second in command in the City Lord's mansion. We'll see how it goes. If it's not too much, we'll just let them do as they please. This Scarlet Cloud sect is truly too shameless. Lei Hua said. An old man walked out from the middle tent of the Scarlet Cloud sect. He was the elder of the Scarlet Cloud sect, Qi Ying. He was at the late stage of the Fifth Order. Although his cultivation was high, he couldn't handle 3 mid-stage Fifth Order dark zombies. Therefore, he gave the order to charge at Yi Shan. If you commit suicide to atone for your sins, I'll pretend nothing happened today, Knight Sorrow said coldly to Crimson Shadow. What are you thinking? Qi Ying coldly snorted. You must die today. My injury is a small matter. What do you think the brothers behind me are? Knight Sorrow said as he waved his reincarnation spear. Prepare for battle. Qi Ying snorted coldly and ordered the disciples of the Scarlet Cloud sect. Insolent. You don't dare to fight the darkness zombies, so now you want to show off your might. Surround and kill. Knight Sorrow shouted to the people behind him. At this time, the disciples of the Medicine Valley camp, the Thunder Rumbling sect camp, and the Southern Dipper sect camp all came over. The people of the Holy Light Temple also came to the periphery. The ones who did not move were the Free and Unfettered sect and the Star Cloud sect. What are you guys doing? Qi Ying's expression changed. Nothing much. You can't trick the disciples of the Medicine Valley. Gong Xian coldly said. Yes, you tricked the disciples of the Thunder Rumbling sect. Go to hell. Lei Jiuyun, who was leading the disciples of the Thunder Rumbling sect, also roared. What are you waiting for? Captain, give the order to kill. Ho Jian walked to Knight Sorrow's side and said. You can't do this. Qi Ying's expression changed. It was already difficult for the Scarlet Cloud sect to deal with Knight Sorrow's group, not to mention that there were so many of them. If they attacked, the entire Scarlet Cloud sect would be wiped out. Qi Ying, take your own life as an apology. I will guarantee that the rest of your Scarlet Cloud sect will be fine. Lei Hua looked at Qi Ying and said. This is not fair, I don't accept it. We came here to fight for the Eastern Xian domain. Qi Ying swung his arm and roared. Do you think this is your capital to mess around? You are from the Eastern Xian domain, so it is natural for you to fight for the Eastern Xian domain. Do you think that few people have died during this period of time? Did anyone run away or retreat? Your Scarlet Cloud sect was the first to run away. Moreover, when you retreated, you used despicable means. Therefore, you must die. Lei Hua coldly said. Hearing Lei Hua's words, Qi Ying's beard trembled, but he didn't say anything to refute. Lei Hua's words hit the nail on the head, and what he said was the truth. If you take your own life, then this matter will be considered a personal mistake. If you make another choice, then the nature of the matter will be different. Before the external war, it is normal for us to clean up the internal troubles. It can be said that I am doing this to give your Scarlet Cloud sect a chance. Qin Nan said. Hate. I hate. Qi Ying roared and slammed his palm on the top of his head, shattering his spirit ocean. Listen up, Night Sorrow, don't care if you participate in the war or not. However, if anyone dares to trick me or the brothers behind me, I won't let this matter rest. Retreat. After issuing a warning to the members of the Scarlet Cloud sect, Yi Shang ordered Ho Jian's group and the Bloodstrike Guards to retreat. Night Sorrow and the others left, and so did the others. Everyone knew that Night Sorrow's words weren't just for the Scarlet Cloud sect. It could be understood as a declaration to everyone. After returning to the camp, Night Sorrow waved his hand at his brothers and told them to rest. He returned to his tent to continue cultivating and calming the blood in his body. Qin Nan and the others also returned to the command tent. Fortunately, this fellow didn't lose his mind. Otherwise, the situation wouldn't be easy to control, Qin Nan said. In fact, if Night Sorrow didn't let go of this matter and directly attacked, the group of high-level cultivators of the eastern Xian region would have to take action. In order to quell public anger, the Scarlet Cloud sect would be wiped out. Yes, he might not be willing to accept it, but for the sake of the big picture, he was able to control his emotions. This is very rare. Not only did he display amazing combat strength, but he also controlled the situation very accurately. His battle awareness is also very strong. At the critical moment, he was able to calmly command his subordinates to retreat. He is impeccable. He is a perfect seedling. Lan Yuxuan was very satisfied with Night Sorrow's performance. At that time, he had already fought for 2 hours. If he was at his peak, the battle wouldn't have been so difficult, Dai Tianxiang said. Fastest K on Hicks, I have no choice but to admit defeat. Most importantly, he has a very powerful spatial slash. I observed him for a while, but I still couldn't figure it out, Arden Feng, who had been silent all this time, said. Let's not talk about this for now. When he fights again, pay more attention to his safety. His performance is so outstanding that the Dark Spiritual Corps will definitely notice him. If there is an assassination, it will definitely target him. Lei Hua was a little worried about Night Sorrow's safety. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who was recuperating in his tent, discovered a special situation. His fourth bloodline ability had completely loosened and could be activated at any time. Chapter 450. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. As Night Sorrow's 3 innate bloodline energy points surged, Night Sorrow's 4th innate bloodline energy point erupted and merged with the first 3. Love Go Little Say Night Sorrow felt that his 4th innate bloodline energy point had more potential. Although it didn't release much energy, it had a lot of room for development after cultivation. The 4 innate bloodline energy points gathered together and began to operate on their own, absorbing the spatial energy between heaven and earth to strengthen themselves. Good. Night Sorrow roared in his heart as he activated his 4th innate bloodline energy point. It didn't increase his basic strength, but it increased his actual combat strength by a lot. After Night Sorrow's innate bloodline energy was activated, not only could he use spatial rend, but he could also merge it with his body and temporarily increase the myriad Dao Tomes energy and true Qi. However, Night Sorrow hadn't used it recently. After cultivating for an entire night, Night Sorrow's condition was very good. He wasn't affected by the punch at all and had completely recovered to his peak state. When Night Sorrow came out, the Blood Strike Guards, Ho Jian, and the others were cultivating their combat skills. Moreover, the fire was already lit and the game was roasting over it until it was golden and dripping with oil. "Captain, if you didn't come out, we would have gone to call you. How are your injuries?" Nan Liu asked. "I've completely recovered." "There aren't any problems," Night Sorrow said with a smile. "That's good. Let's eat and drink some wine before we continue fighting," Nan Liu said as she pointed at the wine beside the fire. "Where did you get the wine?" Night Sorrow asked. "The Star Cloud sect provided it." "They did a good job this time," Ho Jian said. "Then let's eat and drink to our heart's content first," Night Sorrow said with a smile. After eating and drinking, the team gathered again to fight. However, this time, the team's position changed. The right side of Night Sorrow's team was now the Walkabout sect. How could the upper echelons of the eastern Xian region place the Scarlet Cloud sect beside Night Sorrow's team? There was already a conflict between them. If they were to be placed together, it would easily lead to more trouble. The following battle was uneventful. 2 or 3 rank 5 dark creatures couldn't cause any danger to Night Sorrow's team. The team behind him didn't suffer any casualties, but it wasn't the same for the other teams. The teams of the other sects often needed to be replenished because there were more members who had died or lost their ability to fight. Not only did Yi Chang's team not die, they didn't even suffer any serious injuries. Medicine Valley's losses weren't high either, mainly because Yi Chang's side had the sky-piercing spear to save their lives. After every battle, Yi Shang would meditate and cultivate. He used the spiritual origin liquid to cultivate his genuine qi. He used the blood essence of ice spirits and soul crystals to cultivate the myriad Tao treasure tome and soul power. As for the improvement of his bloodline talent, Yi Shang did not use the space crystals. Wu Lingfei's advice was to stabilize his foundation first. He would only use the spatial crystals when his foundation was truly stable. He had just activated his 4th innate bloodline energy point. What he needed now was to advance steadily. They fought during the day and cultivated at night. When the members of the Blood Robes Guards wanted to break through, Night Sorrow would arrange for them to rest and stabilize their cultivation bases. Every time Night Sorrow's team fought, Qin Nan and Lan Yuxuan would pay close attention to them, not giving the dark spirit corpses a chance to sneak attack them. Night Sorrow was also very careful. After all, it wasn't fun to be sneak attacked by the dark spirit corpses. Even though he had a spirit weapon to protect himself and ensure that he wouldn't die, Night Sorrow still couldn't withstand serious injuries. 20 days passed in the blink of an eye. Night Sorrow's true Qi cultivation base had reached the mid-second level of the Void Inquiry stage. The Myriad Tao scripture was also not far from the 8th level of the Consolidation realm. However, the improvement of his innate bloodline energy and soul power was slow. The improvement of his innate bloodline energy required him to absorb spatial energy. Spatial energy was a rare attribute and its improvement was slow. Even with the help of the soul crystals, the improvement of his soul power was not fast. This made Night Sorrow understand how difficult it was to cultivate soul power. He also knew that this was a normal phenomenon. If soul power was easy to improve, Venerable Realm experts would be as common as dogs on the streets. The atmosphere in Night Sorrow's team was also the best. Every day, they had good wine and meat. They ate happily and fought vigorously. This was something that the other teams couldn't compare with. This was something that couldn't be helped. The other teams had casualties and injuries every day. How could they be happy? As time went by, more and more members of the Blood Robes Guards reached the 5th level. More than half of them had reached the 5th level. Lei Bao and Lei Zheng's cultivation base was also very fast. After eating the profound meditation pill, they had successfully advanced to the 8th level of the Spirit-Severing realm. In addition, Qin Zhen's cultivation base was improving very quickly. If it didn't slow down, he would soon reach the 4th level. After returning from another battle, Night Sorrow discovered that the Scarlet Cloud sect's campsite was gloomy and gloomy. The previous battle had reduced their numbers by half. They didn't wait for reinforcements. Instead, they retreated and left Broken Cloud Mountain. If they don't have a bright future, they won't be able to fight. Qin Nan didn't stop them from leaving. They are short-sighted. Not being able to replenish their numbers is a problem. At the same time, the main reason is that they are afraid of suffering losses. The upper echelons of the sect don't know what this battle means, Lan Yuxuan lamented. This kind of battle isn't just for training the disciples. It is also a battle for prestige and luck. Not participating in this kind of battle may seem like they are preserving their strength, but at the same time, they are losing their righteousness. They will lose their prestige and reputation. What alliance? Who would dare trust them? Qin Nan snorted coldly. Her eyes were filled with disdain and contempt. Yes, this kind of battle is for the Eastern Xian region. They will more or less be blessed by luck. However, they don't understand, Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. At this moment, the people of the Starry Cloud sect were disappointed. They were disappointed to have such an ally. The departure of the Scarlet Cloud sect meant that the alliance between the two sides had been broken. Now that the Starry Cloud sect was in trouble, the other sects had come to help defend against the dark creatures. As an ally, the Scarlet Cloud sect should have done more. However, the Scarlet Cloud sect had left first. This was treachery. Night Sorrow and the others also looked in the direction of the Scarlet Cloud sect. Useless. Such a sect is one of the 7 super forces. What a disgrace. Lei Bao said as he looked at the Scarlet Cloud sect with disdain. Hee, what should we do? Should we hold them back and beat them up? Ho Jian looked at Lei Bao and said with a smile. Don't provoke me. If you do, I will kill the people of the Scarlet Cloud sect when I see them, Lei Bao snorted and said. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, let them go. It doesn't matter. I feel that the number of dark creatures is not as high as before. There shouldn't be a lot of reinforcements, Xue Ling said. Let's train in the actual battle. Now that everyone's cultivation has improved quickly and is solid, this is good. Moreover, everyone has a tacit understanding with each other. This will be good for the battles we may encounter in the future, Night Sorrow said as he waved the reincarnation spear in his hand. Chapter 451. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Maybe. But that kind of war has nothing to do with us. That's the business of the experts. At most, we'll take care of the small fries or shout a few times. Love go little say, Chu Night Sorrow said with a smile. You make it sound so easy. You mean we're going to fight and you're just going to watch the show? Qin Nan and Lan Yuxuan came over, followed by Lei Hua, who was wearing a mask. If I'm not going to watch the show, are you going to let me charge? Isn't that sending me to my death? Night Sorrow said. All right. You're right. I heard what you said just now. That's the truth. After you guys killed the dark creatures, the number of dark creatures has decreased greatly. This means that the final battle is not far away. It can happen at any time. Qin Nan said. I can't interfere in the war. After all, that's the Venerable's business. I'm similar to the dark beasts. I'm just a small fry. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Nonsense. You were targeted by the dark spirit corpses today. They just didn't attack because we were closer to you. Qin Nan glared at Night Sorrow and said. You're being targeted again? Yi Shan asked in surprise. Yes, so you should be careful tomorrow. Be ready to run at any time. Love go little say, Chulan Yuxuan said with a smile. All right. Night Sorrow nodded. All right, as long as you're prepared. They'll definitely attack you in the next 2 days. Lei Hua said. aren't they still targeting me? Night Sorrow asked with some surprise. Yes, more than one. Qin Nan nodded. Stay away from me tomorrow. Night Sorrow said to Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. After chatting for a while, Qin Nan and Lei Hua left. Here, take this. Looking at Qin Nan and Lei Hua leaving, Lan Yuxuan took out a protective bracelet and handed it to Night Sorrow. Protective bracelet? Night Sorrow asked Lan Yuxuan. Yes, you can keep it as a backup. Don't worry if it's used up or not. Don't let those guys know. They asked me for it, but I said I didn't have it. Lan Yuxuan said. Night Sorrow understands. Thank you, Inspector Blue. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Lan Yuxuan waved at Night Sorrow and left Night Sorrow's tent. Night Sorrow looked at the bracelet and threw it into his storage ring. Baidu search AI Go female sign Xiao say www.aichuxs.com. Why aren't you wearing it? Yang Lei frowned as she looked at Night Sorrow. I have the Golden Phoenix soft armor and the Ice Silkworm soft clothes. 2 layers of defense are enough, Night Sorrow said. No, there are a few dark spiritual corpses staring at you. You should wear the bracelet. You can activate it at any time. It's much safer this way, Sikong Chuyu said as he pulled Night Sorrow's arm. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and took out the bracelet and put it on his wrist. He knew he wouldn't be able to use it. After cultivating for a night, Night Sorrow woke up early. While the Blood Strike guards were roasting meat, he practiced his spear techniques and stretched his muscles. The Qin Jin brought Night Sorrow wine and roasted meat. After eating, Night Sorrow gathered his team. There's a special situation today. You are not allowed to come within 10 meters of me, Night Sorrow said to Ho Jian and the Blood Strike guards. That's not a reasonable distance. If something happens, we won't be able to provide reinforcements in time, Ho Jian said, puzzled. Just do as I say. Remember it well. Also, I'll emphasize this once more. As soon as you hear the order to retreat, retreat immediately. No matter what the situation is, set off now, Night Sorrow said to the group. After giving his instructions, Night Sorrow led his team to the defensive line. Standing at the defensive line, Night Sorrow looked ahead. The dark creature's defensive line was still there, and the dark creatures behind were still gathering. If one wasn't observant, they wouldn't have noticed that the dark creatures were running out of strength. As Dai Tianxiang waved his banner, the human cultivators of the eastern Xian region charged forward once more. Night Sorrow led the Blood Strike guards and Tianji Tower's team to charge forward. Night Sorrow, who had a defensive heart, was especially careful. He tried his best not to use his true energy or the myriad Tao scripture's energy. Instead, he relied on his physical strength to fight and maintain his peak condition. Night Sorrow's physical strength alone was comparable to that of a rank 4 cultivator or a demonic beast. Relying on his physical strength and occasionally using some true energy, Night Sorrow's killing methods were as sharp as ever. The Blood Strike guards and Tianji Tower's team obeyed Night Sorrow's orders and maintained a certain distance from Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow brandished his reincarnation spear and slowly penetrated the dark creature's ranks. At the same time, he released his soul power to scout the situation ahead. An hour later, Yi Shang had killed his way into the front 7 or 8 miles. Along the way, Yi Shang had consumed a drop of origin spirit liquid to maintain his peak condition. Night Sorrow's hair stood on end as he killed a dark demon wolf with a single spear strike. He felt as if he was being watched. Retreat! Night Sorrow shouted. Then, his true energy erupted as he activated the Golden Phoenix soft armor. As Night Sorrow covered his body with the Golden Phoenix soft armor, the unique space of a venerable also bound him. Moreover, it wasn't just 1 but 2 spatial fetters that were applied to Night Sorrow's body. At the same time, 3 dark spiritual corpses appeared and rushed toward Night Sorrow. Bastard! With his body and head bound, Night Sorrow couldn't even open his mouth to curse. He could only curse in his heart and activate the myriad Tao scripture's energy to protect himself. At the same time, he activated the ice silk soft armor. If it was just one dark spiritual corpse, Night Sorrow wouldn't be so nervous. However, these three venerable dark spiritual corpses wanted to kill him. At this time, the venerables of the Eastern Profound region also moved. Qin Nan and Lan Yuxuan were at the front. Lei Hua and Ho Yuan also rushed over. Lei Hua and Ho Yuan were originally at the back of the other teams. Now, the situation showed that Night Sorrow's side was the focal point of the battle. Bang! With a muffled sound, Night Sorrow's body was pushed back dozens of feet. The Golden Phoenix soft armor flashed and blocked the energy blade. However, Night Sorrow couldn't move as the spatial fetters were still in effect. Night Sorrow wanted to run but couldn't. Just as the thought flashed through his mind, an energy fist once again bombarded Night Sorrow's chest. After the Golden Phoenix soft armor flashed twice, it disintegrated and turned into shoulder pads that buckled on Night Sorrow's shoulder. However, the strength of the energy fist was weakened a lot. The remaining energy was blocked by Night Sorrow's ice silk soft armor. At this time, another blade light attacked Night Sorrow. The three dark spiritual corpses, while imprisoning Night Sorrow, attacked Night Sorrow with all their strength. They wanted to kill Night Sorrow. Look at Chapter 1 of Chapter 1, $. This method was no different from a human's intelligence. It was fine if they didn't move, but when they did, they would kill. Night Sorrow's expression changed. If he took another blade light head-on, he would be seriously injured. At this time, Lan Yuxuan and Qin Nan could only block the dark spiritual corpse's attack path. They couldn't help him deal with the third attack. The main reason was that the dark spiritual corpse's sneak attacks were too fast. At this critical moment, Night Sorrow used his innate skill, Spatial Rend, to attack his side. Chapter 452. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. The space bind was broken. Night Sorrow's body flashed a few feet away through the space bind. As soon as Night Sorrow dodged, the third dark spiritual corpse's blade aura whizzed past and cut a gully in the ground a few feet away. Retreat quickly. After being blasted twice in a row, Night Sorrow wasn't too far away from the Blood Strike Guards and the Extreme Heavens Tower team. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Xue Ling and Ho Jian quickly retreated with their people. Night Sorrow, are you okay? Sikong Chuyu, who was running with Night Sorrow, asked worriedly. I'm fine. I'm fully prepared. I'm not injured. Night Sorrow pulled Sikong Chuyu and Yang Lei away and turned to watch the battle between the venerables. At this time, a group of venerables was fighting. More than 3 dark spiritual corpses came out from the dark creature camp. One of the dark spiritual corpses that had successfully ambushed the walkabout sect rushed over and joined the battle. 2 more dark spiritual corpses also rushed out from the dark creature camp and fought with the venerables of the Eastern Xian region. Night Sorrow could not see clearly with the naked eye, so he released his soul power to observe the battle. After observing for a moment, Yang Kai found that Lei Hua was the most ferocious, followed by Lan Yuxuan and Qin Nan. Ho Yuan was fighting the dark spirit corpse from the free and unfettered sect. Dai Tianxiang, Lu Zhenyu, and the Blood Strike Guard commander were comparatively weaker. A big battle is coming. Night Sorrow reached out and touched the Golden Phoenix soft armor on his shoulder. Night Sorrow was very satisfied with the strength of the Golden Phoenix soft armor. When he used all his strength, he could block 2 attacks from the venerables, although he could not completely block the second attack. The battle between the venerables only lasted for half an hour before the dark spirit corpses retreated towards the spatial passageway. This time, the venerables of the Eastern Xian region were smart. They didn't chase after the dark spirit corpses. Instead, they surrounded and killed the dark spirit corpses that Ho Yuan attacked. When the dark spirit corpse transformed into an energy clone to escape, the few sovereigns used spatial imprisonment together and attacked the dark spirit corpse clones in the imprisonment area. In the end, they managed to kill the unlucky dark spirit corpse before the other dark spirit corpses could arrive. Seeing that their companions were killed, there was no point in trying to save them. The other dark spirit corpses retreated back to the spatial tunnel. Lei Hua and the others also flew back to Broken Cloud Mountain's defensive line. They didn't attack the ordinary dark creatures, as it was meaningless. DN Update, New. The fastest way is from E to H to C. Those who returned all went to Night Sorrow's tent. Is Night Sorrow alright? Lei Hua asked. Governor Qin and Supervisor Lan acted in time. I wasn't injured. Night Sorrow said. That's good. We used you as bait to kill a dark spirit corpse. The effect is pretty good. Qin Nan said. Isn't the risk a little too high? Yang Lei was a little unhappy. After all, Night Sorrow was the bait. Indeed. How about this? Tomorrow, you guys start to rest. We'll be a little more shameless. A few sovereigns will guard the defensive line and 2 sovereigns will control the number of dark creatures. Lei Hua thought for a moment and said. That's fine too. Our cultivators have been fighting for many days. They also need to rest. Qin Nan said. Then, the few of them left Night Sorrow's tent. However, Lan Yuxuan didn't leave. Your situation has already been recorded by the headquarters. Therefore, I have the responsibility to protect your safety. Why didn't you use the bracelet I gave you? Lan Yuxuan looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I have a soft armor that can withstand 2 waves of attacks. If I can't, I'll activate the bracelet. Night Sorrow said. Your life is important, you know. If you use treasures, you can find more. Don't be so greedy. Lan Yuxuan said. Okay, I know. Night Sorrow said with a smile. You're greedy. You don't even use the bracelet when you have one. Lan Yuxuan snorted and left Night Sorrow's tent. She's right. You're a little greedy. Sikong Chuyu said. Yang Lei patted Night Sorrow's shoulder and brewed a pot of tea. We don't have much to do with the following tactical arrangements. We can rest for a while. Then let's cultivate peacefully. I'll also speed up my cultivation. Night Sorrow said. The situation that happened today made the upper echelons of Eastern Xian region change their tactics. It was mainly because the Dark Spirit Corpse's methods broke the previous balance. Lan Yuxuan stayed in the command tent every day. The other sovereigns sealed the defensive line. Qin Nan and Ho Yuan often went out to hunt dark creatures and control their numbers. Once the number of dark creatures increased, it would put pressure on the defensive line of Eastern Xian region. In the human camp, other than the sovereigns, the others were recuperating. After a life-and-death battle, their strength would increase rapidly. Night Sorrow cultivated crazily every day. When he was free, he would go to the front of the defensive line to take a look. The defensive line was much more stable than before. The dark creatures no longer pressed towards them. Qin Nan and Ho Yuan's methods were domineering. With a wave of their hands, they could kill many dark creatures. The Dark Spirit Corpse was also no match for the cultivators of Dongxian. Such stable days lasted for more than 20 days. Night Sorrow's cultivation of the Myriad Tao scripture had improved again. It had reached the 8th level of the consolidation realm. His true Qi cultivation was not far from the peak of the 2nd level of the Void Inquiry stage. Night Sorrow's biggest gain was that the energy points of his innate bloodline had stabilized. He could now proceed to strengthen them. At the same time, it was also the opportunity for Night Sorrow to cultivate his innate bloodline. His cultivation of the Myriad Tao scripture had just reached the 8th level of the consolidation realm. It needed to be stabilized. His true Qi cultivation was not far from the peak of the 2nd level of the Void Inquiry stage. He could use the spatial crystals and soul crystals to cultivate. After all, absorbing spatial crystals conflicted with cultivating his true Qi and the Myriad Tao scripture. After greeting Yang Lei, Ho Jian and Xueling, Night Sorrow began his seclusion. With spatial crystals in one hand and soul crystals in the other, Night Sorrow began his cultivation. The power of the soul needed to be improved and nourished slowly. This could not be rushed. The main reason was that the refining speed was slow. However, Night Sorrow's innate bloodline was domineering. The speed of refining the energy in the spatial crystals was fast. After absorbing a spatial crystal that was half the size of a human head, Night Sorrow finally strengthened the fourth innate bloodline energy point. The completion of the strengthening of his innate bloodline energy made Night Sorrow very happy. The power of the spatial crack that he displayed with 3 innate bloodline energy points was very strong. The power of the spatial crack that he displayed with 4 innate bloodline energy points would be even stronger. Taking the opportunity of catching prey, Night Sorrow displayed the spatial crack. The power of the 4 innate bloodline energy points in Night Sorrow's innate bloodline energy points burst forth and the spatial crack was released. A crescent-shaped energy slash that was visible to the naked eye was slashed forward. Black threads were drawn in the air. Next, the energy slash flew forward and the target ancient tree was directly cut in half from the middle. After finishing the first move, Night Sorrow continued to release a few more moves. Without exception, all of his targets were cut in half. Chapter 453. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? Say net, providing you with wonderful novels to read. This time, Night Sorrow used 5 spatial splits in a row before his innate bloodline energy was exhausted. Love go little say W. Chew. Next, Night Sorrow took care of the white bear and 2 antelopes before returning to the campsite and handing them over to the others. After returning to the tent, Night Sorrow took a sip of the tea Yang Lei had brewed and sensed the situation of his innate bloodline energy points. Just like before, the 4 innate bloodline energy points were circulating, strengthening the energy points while charging towards the 5th innate bloodline energy point. I'm very happy. Tell us what you're happy about. Sikong Chuyu sat beside Night Sorrow and asked. Yes, the cultivation of my innate bloodline has improved a little. Night Sorrow explained his situation. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu were both happy for Night Sorrow. In the world of cultivators, there were very few people with innate bloodlines. A bloodline with high lethality like Night Sorrow's was especially rare. It was even rarer that Night Sorrow could cultivate it. After drinking with the Blood Strike Guard, Ho Jian, and the others, Night Sorrow continued to cultivate. Night Sorrow's attitude towards cultivation had influenced the Blood Strike Guard, Ho Jian, and the others. The group was also very active in their cultivation. Currently, the confrontation between the humans and the dark creatures in Broken Cloud Mountain was at a stalemate. The human cultivators couldn't do anything to the dark creatures because they couldn't do anything to the biased spatial channel. Similarly, the dark creatures couldn't cross the blockade set up by the eastern Xian region. Lei Hua and the others had also sent small teams out on missions. However, they only hunted some scattered dark creatures and didn't come into direct contact with them. This was because the dark spiritual corpses were hidden among the dark creatures. The venerables went to control the number of dark creatures, so the dark spiritual corpses couldn't do anything. However, it was very dangerous for cultivators below the venerables to fight the dark creatures. The upper echelons of the eastern Xian region didn't want to suffer such a loss. Yi Shang and the others were also happy to be free. The group would cultivate their combat skills during the day and cultivate their foundations at night. They didn't lack resources in the first place, and with the resources that Yi Shang had given them, it wasn't a problem. Night Sorrow was also happy to see such a scene. His brothers were strong, so they had a strong ability to protect themselves. If not for the dire situation, Yi Shang would have liked to return to the Medicine Valley's Pill Tripod Cliff to cultivate. While he was cultivating Night Sorrow, he was also predicting the war's outcome. The death of the death domain, the death of death, and the death of death, the death, and the death of the death. The other thing was that the rulers of the death domain rushed out and fought head-on, tearing apart the defensive line and breaking through. However, Night Sorrow felt that the death domain had no chance of winning, unless the guy inside was very powerful. However, this possibility was very small. Since he couldn't grasp the direction of the war, Night Sorrow calmly cultivated. It wasn't suitable for him to leave either. In the second month after arriving at Broken Cloud Mountain, Sikong Chuyu's attributes changed. He directly upgraded from the ordinary water attribute to the sky blue water attribute. 0CR Original J version. First, the sky blue water attribute was still the water attribute, and it was the ultimate water attribute. This ultimate attribute couldn't suppress the ordinary attributes, but it also couldn't be suppressed by ordinary high-level attributes, unless one also grasped the ultimate attribute of the high-level attributes. When it came to sparring, the Blood Strike Guards and the Tianji Tower team were no match for Sikong Chuyu. Ho Jian, Yang Lei, and the others were no match for him because the intensity of their true chi attacks was different. The sky blue water attribute allowed Sikong Chuyu's true chi to be extremely condensed. In addition, Sikong Chuyu also told Yang Lei and Night Sorrow that after attaining the sky blue water attribute, the true chi energy in his body began to change his physique. After the change was complete, he would have the sky blue body. His body's strength and willpower would increase and he would have a greater affinity with the water attribute. This made Night Sorrow and Yang Lei happy for him. The origin stone of the water attribute was a great help to Sikong Chuyu in order to cultivate the sky blue water attribute. In addition, Sikong Chuyu had the potential to cultivate the sky blue water attribute and Wu Lingfei's guidance. Only then did he succeed in taking this step. After Sikong Chuyu cultivated the sky blue water attribute, she and Yang Lei both advanced to the 4th level of the Void Inquiry stage. They had eaten the Void Extreme pills which raised their cultivation bases to the peak of the 3rd level of the Void Inquiry stage for quite some time. Their cultivation bases had stabilized. Naturally, breaking through was a matter of course. At this moment, Night Sorrow had also reached the peak of the 2nd level of the Void Inquiry stage. However, he was not in a hurry to advance. While cultivating his soul power and the energy of the myriad Tao text, he was also consolidating his true chi cultivation base. Night Sorrow also let Tianyu and the Silver Fox out to play every day. After all the cultivators in the Eastern Profound region knew that they were Night Sorrow's demonic beasts. If anyone was foolish enough to touch these 2 demonic beasts, Night Sorrow would not let them off, let alone the consequences. Under Night Sorrow's constant feeding of the life spirit liquid, Tianyu had already reached the peak of the spirit severing realm while the Silver Fox had reached the peak of the core formation realm. Both of them were on the verge of advancing. According to the situation of their advancement in the past, Night Sorrow knew that they did not know how long it would take for them to consolidate their strength. Therefore, he was not in a hurry. When the time comes, they would naturally advance. The situation had stabilized. However, there were still people coming to the Eastern Profound region one after another. In the Medicine Valley, all of Night Sorrow's senior martial brothers except for Nan Nan and Aoi had arrived at Broken Cloud Mountain. Nan Nan had to stay in Golden Flame City. As for Aoi, she was not willing to participate in the hunting operation unless she had no other choice. Everyone in the Medicine Valley knew that. Therefore, no one would force her to do so. Because of her personality, she did not compete with the world. Instead, she had gained more respect. Night Sorrow would drink with his senior martial brothers every day when he had nothing to do. It had been a long time since he had last chatted with them. Time slipped away bit by bit. Some people felt a little annoyed staying in the same place but not Night Sorrow. When he felt that he had more or less settled down, Night Sorrow greeted Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu and went into seclusion to break through to the 3rd level of the Void Inquiry stage. After spending a night, Night Sorrow condensed his true chi halo. Next, he stabilized his cultivation base. While stabilizing his cultivation base, Night Sorrow took out the blood essences of ice spirits and soul crystals to assist him in his cultivation. While stabilizing his true chi, he continued to cultivate the myriad Tao scripture and soul power. This cultivation process lasted for a few days. When the blood essences of ice spirits and soul crystals were all used up, Night Sorrow stopped cultivating. After stretching his body, Night Sorrow walked out of the tent. Sikong Chuyu and Yang Lei were chatting outside the tent while making tea. "You're out. Yang Lei and Night Sorrow greeted each other. Thank you for guarding the place for me. Night Sorrow sat down on the wooden stool beside Yang Lei. You don't have to be so courteous with us. Drink some water. Sikong Chuyu poured a cup of water for Night Sorrow and said. Looking at the blood-robed guards, Ho Jian and the others cultivating their combat techniques, Night Sorrow felt very gratified because his brothers were all very motivated. Sure-san, your cultivation base is going to catch up to us soon. Ninth senior sister has been cultivating for a much longer time than you. Yang Lei turned her head to look at Night Sorrow and said. Maybe it's because of my good fortune that I have ample resources. Night Sorrow said with a smile, you're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.